Got the good, bad, and ugly?
Not yet. Saw something yesterday on the golf course, David, that I've never seen before. I saw a guy hit a shot that ended up going for negative yards. He hit a low worm burner off the tee. It hit the tee marker in front of us and went backwards behind us. And he hit it. It was 40 yards in front of us. It wasn't like it was it was 30, 40 yards. It wasn't like it was the blue tees to the white tees. It was a good bit of distance. And all of a sudden the ball starts coming back. And I mean, we were, you don't want to laugh, and you couldn't help but laugh. But he birdied the next hole, so I'll give him credit.
5 seconds.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you. How's your week going? It's Thursday, the final one of February. How the heck are you? Miller and Moulton here on the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Thanks so much for being with us. Another good show lined up. Dalton Miller of Pro Football Network, the voice of the Miami Hurricanes, Joe Zagacki, and some news in the golf world that hasn't happened in nearly a quarter of a century. We'll talk to one of the men behind it coming up in our bonus hour. Top of the morning to you, my friend. How are you?
Good morning, David. I'm doing very well. There was definitely some oomph to that how the heck are you? You brought some gusto on this Thursday morning. Feeling it. I love it. I can already tell you're awake, in a good mood, and ready to go.
Got a good night's sleep. I'll have to acknowledge that. And that makes a difference. And the adrenaline flowing today. Yeah, it was scurrying just to get on the air in time. So, I think I hooked up with you and was, fully, in the zone at about 5:57. So, it's one of those kind of racing out of the car, 3 warm-up swings. I'm on the tee. I'm ready to go. No, we're going to have a good round. Let's go.
Love the enthusiasm. I'm not sure what brings it today. Maybe the NBA season kicking back off tonight. I'm not sure exactly what has that enthusiasm. The golf news you spoke of, but I love it. I love it nonetheless.
I will say, should we make a mental note of all the players who don't play either today or tomorrow for load management? If you think about it, if you don't play following the All-Star break, all right, those are the players that you put a little asterisk next to, kind of like, I'm not so sure we can count on them going forward. That's all I'm saying. Like Steph Curry's out injured. If Giannis doesn't play, well, he's got the wrist. But, otherwise.
You mean it's time to go for everyone else?
You would think.
Basically a third of the season left?
That's the other thing. Well, we're getting ready for the second half. The second half started 5 weeks ago. You guys are down to less than a third. 82 games. You've got like 24 of them left. Do the math. You're 70% of the way through this sucker. It's go time.
Well, it's the most important regular season games in LeBron's career.
Well, if he says so, if I'm a Laker fan, that's good. It means he might play them. So there you go. All right. It's got to start somewhere. It's another reason why I'm fired up. All right. There's no more load management. In theory, right?
There shouldn't be.
I mean, come on now. We got 8 weeks left, maybe 7. And we've had a break here. Most of the whole league got a week off. What more do you need? It's like being a student when you came back from, you did your midterms, you had your spring break. I mean, there's no more excuses, man. You knew that as a student. You're like, well, I guess it's go time. Got to stop cutting class. Either that or I got to cheat off somebody better than I've been cheating off of. One or the other. Come on now. Let's go.
We've already passed the ad drop zone. I can't even drop this sucker anymore.
Exactly. It's like the trade deadline came and went. That's like the drop zone in college.
It really is.
Can I drop this? No. Oh, man.
Give me an incomplete. Let's line it up next semester.
Can't do that. Mom will be so angry. What did I pay for? I don't know, Mom. I don't know. If I'd gone to the class, I could tell you. But now fired up. Listen, when I saw guys started to get cut yesterday in the NFL, I'm like, okay, now we're talking. This is good. It's what we need. Salary dumps. Nothing excites an NFL fan during the offseason quite like a salary dump.
Well, it does, though, in the way that sometimes your teams start looking, you're a fan of a team, and they drop an offensive lineman because of a salary dump, and you're like, it's better than what we've got.
So, but this is where fan bases call one another up and go, "Did you see we got rid of 4 guys? We saved $38 million. That's fantastic." And the other fan goes, "Is one of them Tannehill?" "No, not yet." I don't know why I sound like the manager in Major League there.
Lou just came out of the phone.
I was going to say, but I think I got a car with white walls I got to take care of there.
That was good.
So, yeah. And I will say, this whole Brandon Miller, Alabama story. I mean, man, you know what's happened in the last 5 years? People just double down. Whatever side you're on, okay? People have decided, you know what? Don't admit you're wrong. Just double down. Oh, that's not what happened. This is what happened. Oh, no, that's not what they said happened. I'm telling you, this is what happened. Oh, okay. I mean, did you hear the statement that his lawyer released yesterday, right before dinner? I got to admit, I mean, and he damn near, at the end of it, what was that movie scene in which I think it was Kevin Bacon? Okay. And, him and Tom Cruise there, Nicholson, in which Kevin Bacon looked at the jury when he was done with his opening statement. He said, "These are the facts and they are indisputable." I mean, that was damn near how the lawyer ended his statement about Brandon Miller. These are the facts, and they are indisputable. So, tell you what, though. So, did you hear some of the things they were chanting at him last night?
Yeah, they were chanting "lock him up" quite a bit. That was
I don't know if they were talking about him in jail or they were talking about what they wanted their South Carolina defense to do. Because he scored 41. He single-handedly won that game for Alabama. He tied it at the end of regulation, and he won it at the end of overtime. And he had 41 in and around it.
41.
Correct. It's
I will
basically
say, if you worry about how this kid's going to react playing under pressure, under duress, of what problems people want the guy in jail right now, and he came out and scored 41.
I agree with a lot of things that Fran Fraschilla says. Fraschilla took to Twitter and just said, "Listen, it's not fair, but this is going to affect his draft status." And I'm thinking, yeah, you're right. He may have gone up 2 spots. Instead of being top 5, he might be top 3 now. Man, if you didn't think the kid was a stud before. So, this is a fascinating story, though. I mean, you got, and it crossover too. I mean, when you've got Dan Walken and Clay Travis both on the same side of an issue, I mean, that's nuts. I mean, Dan Walken's about as liberal as Rachel Maddow. And you got him and Clay Travis both on the same side of this thing. It's like, wow.
This will not, it's not going away anytime soon, though.
Well, it really? I mean, Alabama's like, there's nothing to do. The authorities are like, there's nothing we can do. I mean, the lead cop said, quote, there's nothing we can charge him with. Well, then where does it, Alabama's like, we're just following the lead of the authorities. The authorities keep saying, kid's good. Okay. And we're playing them. If they turn around and go, we got a problem here, we won't play them.
Legally, David, everything you said is correct. What I'm saying is that there are going to be, with this much attention to something, and the fact that yesterday they still haven't let this kid speak, and they may never let him speak the rest of the year. I mean, at some point, does the kid get in front of a microphone, and how are they going to handle that?
Would you let him talk if you were Alabama?
No.
No. First off, he has an attorney. Okay, the attorney's doing the talking for him. That's part of why you're paying the money. He's cooperating with the authorities. His attorney's releasing statements. He doesn't need to talk. I mean, you could try to make him available after he scores 41. And if somebody asks him a non-basketball question, he could just say, listen, I can't talk about that. All right. I can talk about the game. And maybe they would have gotten into a little bit of, well, how'd you handle the pressure of, what's been going on in your life? And he goes, and he says whatever he says. Mark, I'm a big fan of talking.
I got you.
Not just because I do it for a living, but I'm a big fan of talking. See, I think we have a debt to the public. I really do. I feel we have a debt to the fans. Okay, we ask a lot of the fans. We ask their time, we ask their money, and I think we have to give something back. And one of the biggest things that we can give back is to communicate with them. Like, the media is just the conduit to get your thoughts out to the fans. I know they've become more than that and what have you, but if I was running the show, Mark, you did it when you ran PR. You used us. We were the conduit. You had messages you wanted to get out. You used us.
And the good news is that the media is always searching for a story, so they're very easily used.
And as we've joked, free parking, free food, use us all you'd like.
It's the way to the media's heart. Lunch.
And in your case, that little pregame meal also, which, I couldn't get a lot of because I had the 6:00 news. You guys started at 7:30. By the time I got there, the earliest I could get there usually is about 7:10. But I snuck in a couple of meals over the years. I got to admit, I missed the first 5 minutes of the first period from time to time because I was too busy pounding down my carbs.
Always a pasta dish in there for you, David. Always easy to have a pasta dish.
And it would suck when you guys would score, too. It'd be like, seriously? Seriously? First few shifts of the game, you got to score? I can't even finish my pasta.
Nothing like a little chicken parm with hockey. They go together.
Always have. Right, Panger? That's an inside hockey joke. So good show lined up. Dalton Miller, Joe Zagacki, Rob Hartman. Okay. Got a little golf, a little basketball, a little football. That's how we roll.
Canes are on a roll as well. Look forward to talk to Joe about that to see if his expectations of the Canes are where ours are, because we think they're a Final Four possibility. Miller and Moulton, thanks for listening. The starting 5 in 25 minutes right here on the Florida Sports Network. Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles. Check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're gonna have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Morning, Jay Gunn. That's an interesting story, KW.
It is National Banana Bread Day, National Chili Day, and National Toast Day.
Toast?
Toast.
What a toaster yesterday. Mother-in-law wants toast.
You didn't own a toaster?
Nope. No, we had one of those toaster ovens, and it was old, and we got rid of it. So she wanted toast.
Well, then you got a toaster.
So now we have a toaster.
Well, it's good. You got it just in time for National Toast Day.
I'm a big Krispy Kreme fan. Not as big as my mom. When my mom came to visit, like every other day, I would take her to Krispy Kreme for breakfast. She was living large. She had a good hotel continental breakfast. And then after the show, I'd go pick her up. And we'd hit Krispy Kreme. Anybody watch the network news last night? Because I'm trying not to watch it anymore. because it's so uplifting. But so they're leading with the weather nationwide.
Right, the blizzard.
Right. Over 100 million people affected and all the flights and this, that, and the other thing. My best friend called me up last night. He said, it's -1 here. I said, don't mention the weather. He goes, why? I go, because, you'll stop being my friend. He goes, well, what was it there? I go, about 87 degrees warmer than that. And I mean, man, oh man. Apparently it's winter out there.
Yeah. My buddy that's playing in the member guest called me. He's supposed to come in on Tuesday. He booked his flight for Friday instead of Tuesday. He jumped it by 4 days. Does that bother you any? I'm like, no, I don't care.
Is he staying with you?
I don't think he will the whole time, but he might. If he does, that's fine.
Yeah, Canada relief. That's so disgusting and disturbing. Or just another day in America.
Yep. Oh my gosh. Bianchi with a poll of all times. Would you rather give up air conditioning for the rest of your life or give up internet for the rest of your life? Bye, internet.
Yep. Bye-bye. I'm good.
We're coming back.
No. Canada relief. I'm used to it now. It's fine.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Thanks so much for being with us. We have to think of a poll question for today. We've been on a good little run with poll questions.
I'm very pleased with the results of yesterday's poll question.
Yesterday's question was, do you eat in bed? And what was it?
A little over 70% said no.
Wow. It's a strong showing. That was the showing I was hoping for the day earlier. Instead, I barely won re-election. You, man, damn near unopposed there. Does it disturb you at all that 3 out of 10 people are like me?
No, it actually just warms my heart that 7 of 10 are not.
Okay.
Because if this was 50-50, I was going to worry a little bit. I really was. And you come out of the gate, you were so confident in the big wing, kind of wing be too big poll, winning that 49-51, that you were full of yourself and you thought you were winning the eat in bed poll too.
I didn't think I was winning it, but I thought I was going to have an impressive enough showing. You know how when you lose, but you think, I can run for re-election next time. I understand losing first time out, but you know what? In 2 or 4 years, I can get this person. All right. See, this is kind of like, I don't think we do this again. This was a beatdown. Yeah, the day before, I mean, I took confident re-election. I mean, hell, I made dinner plans. I wasn't even watching the returns. They called me in the middle of dinner and said, we got a problem. Well, what's the problem? Would we only win by 60? No, we might lose. What? And the polls are, closed too. We're in trouble. That was the day before. So I'll just have to take my chips and salsa and, I don't know, go sit on the love seat, I guess. Not eat in bed anymore.
We could start a segment with what did Moulton eat in bed last night?
For the record, nothing. Okay, nothing. I behaved myself. I watched Kentucky, Florida, the end of it at least, and, went to bed. We can put Florida to bed too.
That was the story last night, no doubt. I probably watched about as much of that game as you did. I watched about the last 5-7 minutes of the game, and because we had some things going on last night in and around the house. But that was it for Florida. That was their chance.
Well, and they lost their best player last week.
Right.
So, the win would have been tremendous. In fact, how hard they competed and how well they played without their best player was a very nice showing. But, they were not a tournament team with their best player. And last night's one of the last chances to beat a tournament team, and they were unable to do it. So, barring some legendary SEC tournament run, a la Georgia and Dennis Felton a decade or so ago. I mean, we'll say this, Gator fan. How you feeling? Football teams at back-to-back 6 and 7 seasons. The men's basketball program is
fluttering
okay.
around.
I mean, women's basketball, they've never really had it figured out. And, gymnastics and baseball, man. I mean, gymnastics best program along with baseball. It's really close between the two because they're both top 3 in the country, and it's inarguable. In fact, I might put $20 on the Gators baseball team to win the whole thing right now. Honestly, they look really good. I know it's early and pitchers haven't gotten hurt yet, but I'm just saying that's put it this way. I'll put $20 on they get to Omaha.
That's tough enough.
Right.
Because crazy things can happen in those regionals and super regionals. It happens all the time.
Yep. But I'm just curious how, Gator sports fan is feeling. I mean,
well, and they just lost their, the DC just left to go to Arizona.
They lost 2 assistant coaches yesterday. Lost their tight ends coach and their co-defensive coordinator, left to go to the Arizona Cardinals. Now, they replaced the one guy pretty quickly. Grabbed a guy who had just signed with Alabama. So, I actually take it as a positive if I'm a Gator fan. Wow. Billy Napier put a staff together, and 2 of the guys on the staff an NFL team wanted to hire. A highly thought of, Jonathan Gannon got that job. Defensive coordinator with the Eagles. He was highly thought of. And he's plucking 2 of our assistant coaches? Interesting. Tells me Billy knows how to hire good people. All right. That's a good sign. Now, if he could just recruit about 30 more good players, that'd be fantastic.
But I'm with you in just wondering, the Gator fan kind of had a long run of being pretty proud.
Well, and outstanding in the big 2 sports, too. And when you're in the big 2 sports, usually at some point somebody taps the AD on the shoulder and says, "Hey, can we talk?" Here's the other thing that concerns me for Scott Strickland's future. I don't think the football team turns it around next year either. I think Billy Napier is on the Mike Norvell timeline. Norvell's first year was the pandemic year, and they went, I think, something like 3-6. And then 2021, he lost that ridiculous game to Jacksonville State, and they weren't bowl eligible. They went 5-7. And that's why there was so much pressure on Norvell and the team last year. Well, they go 10-3. And Mark, I feel that Napier's kind of on a similar timeline. 6-7 year 1. I don't think they're winning more than 7 games next year. Offensively, they're a mess right now.
They don't have a quarterback.
They don't have. They only have 2 returning offensive linemen, and most of their wide receivers transferred. And their schedule's hard, by the way. It is. Florida has a top 5 or top 10 most difficult schedule in the country next year. Think about it. Florida State's going to be preseason top 10. Their crossover game's LSU, who's going to be preseason top 10. And they're playing Georgia and Tennessee, who are both going to be preseason top 10. Oh, yeah, and they open at Utah. That's just to start. That's not including Arkansas, at South Carolina, at Kentucky. So I'm just, is Gator fan okay if Billy Napier's on a Mike Norvell timeline? Can they wait to 2024 and have that be their 9-3 regular season, win a bowl game to win 10.
Well, they're going to have no choice because they can't blow through another coach and start this whole process over again. So either get on board.
But you know what boosters can do?
Stop giving money.
Well,
stop going.
They could punish the guy who hired him. Okay. That they realize, like you, well, we can't get rid of him. I mean, he's in the middle of building this thing. We got to see this out. We don't know if he's good, bad, or indifferent right now. But I'm not real happy with the guy that hired him. He also, he hired the last 2 basketball coaches. Don't know that I'm crazy about that. So that's what I'm curious about. But where the Gator fan is, and are they going to be patient? Because that's usually Gators and patient we don't normally put together. See.
Well, we don't put it together with any of the fan bases of the big 3 in the state of Florida. Florida State fan wasn't too happy when things were going poorly there. They've come around with it because they had no choice. Canes fan never has had patience, ever. And we'll see what Cristobal does this year, how quickly they'll begin to lose their patience, because I don't know how fast it's going to turn around in Coral Gables either.
Beast mode's in the car with his son right now. His son just said to him, "Dad, isn't football season over?" "Son, on your way to school, you just learned a valuable lesson. Football season is never over, okay? Have a good day at school. Thanks for listening. Miller and Moulton."
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
I just had a flashback moment of being that same kid listening to sports radio and watching Sports Center. Who cares about Brett Favre? It's June. And then my family telling me, football.
Get with the program.
Mm-hmm. I don't care that Brett Favre's going to the Jets. The Marlins just beat the Mets.
Wait, today's also a chili day?
It's National Chili Day. It's National Toast Day. It's National Chili Day. It's also National Banana Bread Day.
Beans
Yes.
on toast. So Canada Relief, you're saying that's a British thing? Beans on toast?
Yes, you're correct. There's actually no tomatoes in Texas chili if it's done right, too.
Huh. Well, I mean, if it's their answer to mac and cheese, then that's solid. So the wife made chili yesterday. All right. She instructed me to go get a bag of the Tostitos. She wanted the scoops.
Yeah?
I don't. Normally, I just do regular. I don't do the rounds, but normally
Right.
I just, I'm a regular chips guy.
Right?
Are you a scoops guy?
I hate the scoops. My wife loves them.
What? Oh, the scoops are awesome.
I mean,
Now,
how about
now-
this for a poll question? You said it's toast day, it's chili day, and it's banana bread. How about if we ask people to choose which they prefer, chili or banana bread?
I think chili would win
Yeah.
Okay.
10 out of 10.
All right.
Now,
never
chili
mind.
is something I wouldn't eat in bed.
Why not?
Oh my god.
Makes no sense. It's in the bowl. You can put your face over it. I mean, honestly, of all the things to
He
eat in
had
bed,
beef stew in bed.
Yeah.
There's no bounds to where this man will go. Apparently, he'll just throw the chili on the bed and roll around.
he's
in
gonna
it.
eat
no, it's in a bowl. Okay, it's in a bowl. I mean, what? You can't eat chili without spilling it?
What's next? Oversized drumsticks. We're coming back.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes before the hour, Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. We're still working on a poll question. I nominated that apparently today is national, and there's like 3 different foods that are being celebrated today. What are they again?
Toast. Today is National Toast Day.
All
It's
right.
National Banana Bread Day, and it's National Chili Day.
Okay. And so
I
I
do love me some chili.
well, chili pretty popular these days. And so I said, well, how about we put that in a poll question? Mark's like, everybody's going to vote for chili.
They will.
Okay. All right. Have to admit, though, some rye toast. I mean,
You'd have a piece of toast over a bowl of chili.
I wouldn't, but I'm just saying, like, when you're out and it's like, would you like some toast? Yeah. Do you happen to have rye? And they go, yeah. And you go, ooh, can I have some rye toast? It's just one of those little, like, hey, today's going to be a good day. I can get me some rye toast with this $4.99 meal. That's fantastic.
Now I want a chili dog.
So, how about something associated with chili? You're the cook. I don't know, tomato-less chili, meatless chili. I don't know.
This is kind of, and I saw this poll question somewhere else posted on National Chili Day. Is it a soup? Do you consider chili a soup?
No. It's like I don't consider a hot dog a sandwich. If you ask me what is it, I say it's a hot dog. It's its own food group.
Right. Chili is its own food group.
Yes.
Technically, it's a taco, but we won't go there.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Chili?
No. A hot dog. A hot dog is a taco.
Oh, see, we would just derail the show at this point.
Right.
But so
I'm not even going to comment on what was just said on this show.
No. Technically
I-
it is, but we won't go there.
So you're saying technically a hot dog bun is a taco shell?
Essentially, yes.
Really?
Don't look at me. I'm not the one that declared this.
You just who the hell?
Wait,
There's three of us here. One of them just spewed into a microphone that a hot dog's a taco, for Christ's sake.
who are you quoting? What's your source?
The internet. Okay.
Oh,
Well,
Oh, it's got to be right.
I
it's
saw a
done.
video on it.
It's
So-
done. It's done. Time now for
The starting five. 5 stories you need to know. It's the starting 5 on Miller and Moulton. Here's number 1.
I will say you have to be more specific. You know, is it a story on the internet or is it someone's posting about the story on the internet?
It was a descriptive video.
Okay. All right. I'm intrigued. If you could find it, send it to me. I'll watch it during a commercial break. I want to hear their reasoning. Hey, we're starting to release players in the NFL to save money. Isn't it exciting? Tennessee Titans were the first up. They said, we'll do it. We're $23 million and change over the salary cap. Not anymore. Taylor Lewan, left tackle, 14.8. Wide receiver Robert Woods, 12 million. Inside linebacker Zach Cunningham, 8.9. They even cut the kicker, $2 million. Seriously? Even the minimum wage kicker is like $750. Seriously? That's just one of those. I'm tired of seeing his face.
$1 million, $1 million.
I guess. So they saved $37 million and change. They're $14 million now under the cap. They haven't even decided what they're going to do with Tannehill yet. They could be like $50 million under the cap. They decide to move on from him. Of course, that doesn't leave him a quarterback, but whatever. Speaking of quarterbacks, remember Brock Purdy? He got hurt in the NFC Championship game. That was a month ago, by the way. He's yet to have elbow surgery. They've scheduled it twice. They've had to cancel it because of swelling twice. So now they're going to wait a couple more weeks and then have the surgery. The reason this is important is the recovery's a full 6 months. Do the math. You have it like the second week of March. 6 months later is the second week of September. That would seem to be problematic if you want him to play. So I think we can certainly lock in Trey Lance as the opening day starter, right? It seems that way in San Francisco. Mark, the Dolphins keep signing defensive coaches. Like, guys keep leaving good jobs to go to the Miami Dolphins and work with this Fangio guy. All right. Joe Casper, who was with the Eagles, he left. I mean, remember, they just lost their defensive coordinator, a couple other defensive coaches. I mean, he could have moved up the food chain there pretty quickly. And again, he could have been out of work in a day. So he said, I'm going to Miami. I'm going to coach safeties. Okay. The Gators lost 2 coaches to the Arizona Cardinals. Right. Not the University of Arizona, the Arizona Cardinals. Co-defensive coordinator Patrick Toney and tight ends coach Willie Pegler. They both left to go to Arizona. Now, I will say they replaced Toney in a nanosecond. They hired Austin Armstrong, who had 8 days ago signed on with Alabama. Nick let him out of his contract because he's getting a promotion at Florida. So Nick did the classy thing there and let him go. So there you go. Not that we know who any of these people are, but, you know, it's just
A lot of moving parts, though.
right. Right. And also, if you're the Gators, you know, it's 1 year in and you're losing coaches, yet are you encouraged that you're losing them to promotions elsewhere? So maybe Billy Napier put a good staff together. One other coaching note, Willie Taggart. I mean, FSU, FAU, many other places. He's going to the NFL for the first time. John Harbaugh hired him in Baltimore. Now, Taggart and Jim Harbaugh have a long relationship. And Taggart's worked with Jim Harbaugh at a couple different places along his journey. So, must be friends with the family, needs a gig. Ravens bringing him on as running backs coach, Willie Taggart. College hoops last night, Mark. You know, we should have bet the ranch on NC State Wake Forest. I probably shouldn't have led with this, but they were honoring the 83 national championship team last night. All right, just like the day before, we were all over Michigan State at home against Indiana, first home game after the mass shooting on campus. I mean, you know, sometimes the emotion in college sports, and you're like, ooh, I can't bet against these guys tonight. Yeah, NC State whacked a pretty good Wake Forest team by 16 last night. UConn whacked a pretty good Providence team by 18 last night. Hey, you know who's in first in the ACC?
Miami.
Yeah, you know why? Because BC at home whacked 6th-ranked Virginia by 15. Thank you very much, 63-48. Number 1 Houston won at home by 30. Alabama, meanwhile, I'm sure it's just a coincidence as to why it is they keep playing Brandon Miller. But, you know, he's the guy who got named 2 days ago in that shooting, even though the authorities said he didn't do anything legally wrong, and Alabama said we've cooperated fully. Well, he played, and it's a good thing he did for Alabama. He scored 41, and they needed all of it. They had to rally to force overtime and win at South Carolina 78-76. They were a 17-point favorite, and they needed Brandon Miller with a career-high 41. He's a top 5 talent in the draft. Whether he still goes there or not, we'll see. Kentucky beat the Gators 82-74. Brian Gregory, Mark, is really trying to hold on to his job at South Florida. They traveled to Orlando, beat UCF last night, 82-75. FGCU lost their 5th straight home game. Lipscomb beat them by 9. Lipscomb blew a 22-point second-half lead and then outscored them 11-2 down the stretch. Stetson, a winner by 25 at home. North Florida beat Eastern Kentucky by 13 at home, and they clinched a playoff spot in the ASUN playoffs because Jacksonville lost at home to Bellarmine by 2. It'll come down to either FGCU or Jacksonville for the final playoff spot in the ASUN. FGCU wins Friday, they're in. If they lose and Jacksonville wins, Jacksonville's in. Women's hoops, 1 game last night. South Florida pulled away from Tulsa to win by 10. North Carolina, by the way, barely beat an awful Notre Dame team last night on the road, 63-59. They look nothing like a tournament team right now.
No, they do not. That's a game they really and truly should have won by 20 last night, and they've gone through injuries. They've had things go wrong, but they're not a tournament team.
No. Now, the resume says they're not a tournament team, but also the way they're playing says they're not a tournament team. They were down 8 at the half to Notre Dame. They had to rally and win that game by 4. Islanders beat Winnipeg 2-1. Calgary doubled up Arizona 6-3. And the Blackhawks, what are they doing beating Dallas on the road? Seriously, what's going on there?
Dallas scored, but it was after the buzzer, after the horn sound. They negated the goal that would have tied it 4-4, and the Blackhawks win.
And Dallas right now is fighting for the number 1 overall seed, and they don't get any points at home against the Blackhawks. By the way, good job by the NHL. The NBA is not playing this week, and they're scheduling hardly any games. That's smart. Yeah, that's what you do. I mean, you got the 4-letter network and the 3-letter network who televise your games who are looking for programming this week, and you don't give them any. That's smart. It's good scheduling. In golf, Mark, 2 big notes from yesterday. First off, Hall of Fame finalists announced. They only do the Hall of Fame every other year in golf. Padraig Harrington. Okay, I'm going to go a little slowly here. Everybody can decide yay or nay on their own. Padraig Harrington, Dottie Pepper, the late Tom Weiskopf, Jim Furyk, Butch Harmon, Sandra Palmer, Christy Kerr, and legendary amateur Jay Siegel. They also nominated, there were 13 founding members of the LPGA Tour. 7 of them are already in the Hall of Fame. They nominated to put the other 6 in as a group. So they're to be voted on as well. But
I don't know the careers of the 2 women you listed there towards the end, but Padraig Harrington doesn't sound like a Hall of Famer to me. Everybody else did.
Oh, now that's interesting because Harrington's got 3 majors. And we've got guys in there, Freddie's only got 1. Davis Love's only got 1. It's why I think Furyk's getting in. He's got 17 wins, but 1 major. Well, Freddie, I think, had 15 wins in a major.
Right.
Also, Furyk shot a 58 and a 59. So he's got that on his resume. So I think Furyk's going to get in. Now, do I think, I know this is sacrilegious to say, but, Freddie's one of the 10 most popular golfers of all time. That resume is very borderline Hall of Fame. And he got in quickly because of course, Freddie Couples, Hall of Famer. 1 major. Uno. Career cut short, in essence, even though he played, but, he stopped winning pretty early in his career because of his back. Now he was a tremendous team golf player. Ryder, President's Cup. I mean, Freddie was awesome in the team events. But if you're going to compare Furyk to Freddie Couples, I could make the case. I mean, if you would have asked, Mark, most golf people, better golfer, Freddie or Furyk?
Oh, I think they'd all say Freddie.
And I'll bet you I could, if we did the resume test, a blind resume test,
it'd be Furyk.
I think you'd vote Furyk.
I think you're right, by the way.
Christy Kerr, by the way, 20 career wins and 2 majors. So what do you think, Butch Hartman?
I think he should be in the Hall of Fame.
Dottie Pepper, by the way, had her career cut short by a back injury. She didn't even play till she was 40, but she won 2 majors, and she was one of the first big Solheim Cuppers and treated it very seriously as if it was life or death. LPGA Tour, by the way, they're not season opener, but they resumed their season in Thailand. 5-way tie at 7 under. Jennifer Kupcho, an American, one of those. And the Grant Thornton Invitational was announced in Naples in early December. It'll take the place of the Sharks Shootout. And it'll be the first time, Mark, in over 20 years that PGA Tour players and LPGA Tour players will join forces in a team event for $4 million, second week of December in Naples.
They had already put out the Korda twins are going to play, one with Tony Finau, the other with Ricky Fowler. So it looks as if right off the hop, they're getting some big names, which is encouraging for the tournament.
And that was
the starting 5 every weekday morning at this time on Miller and Moulton.
That's why that team event stopped, Mark. It was called the J.C. Penney, and the top male players stopped playing in it. It looks like the men are all in this time around. Miller and Moulton, thanks for listening.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Yeah, I was thinking S. I was thinking shrimp, soup, steak, salad, soda.
What's that?
Okay, if you could only eat foods that start with a letter of the alphabet, what letter would you pick?
I like the S. Steak, salad, shrimp, soup, Slurpees.
Soda, if that counts. So
Salmon.
There you go. Scallops. I mean, I think S is my answer.
That's a good one. Sweet potato. Yeah, you said steak, sirloin. Strawberries. So toast is starch on one side, sandwich is starch on the bottom and the top, and then a taco is starch on three sides.
A hot dog bun is not a taco shell, nor is it a tortilla. That would be like saying a Cuban sandwich could be made with any kind of bread. And it's still a Cuban sandwich. If I take some rye bread and put some ham and some pork on there, well, that's Cuban sandwich because it's bread. No.
But a hot dog,
a hot dog's a bun and a shell. I understand your point. I'm not a effing moron. Okay. I understand what a hot dog bun is. Do you understand what's in a hot dog bun versus what's in the others?
Yes.
There's a huge difference.
Still bread, though.
No. Actually,
it's starch.
Okay. I can make a tortilla out of corn. I prefer a corn tortilla.
I do prefer a corn
Okay.
tortilla.
I don't want my hot dog in a corn tortilla.
I'm not saying you have to use a tortilla. Just saying a hot dog
No,
bun.
you're a hot dog is a hot dog. Thank you, Mr. Boutte. No, he now thinks a hot dog's a taco.
No, because a hot dog is a hot dog. Like it's
Wait, which one is it?
'cause it's
You've changed. I mean,
no, because it's in its own like realm, but technically,
okay. The only other thing we could have did this yesterday, David, is what could you give up for 40 days? Because Lent's here.
oh,
We could make it 39.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Hour number 2 of Miller and Moulton on this final Thursday of February. Thanks so much for being with us. Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. We'll talk football in about 35 minutes with Dalton Miller of Pro Football Network. Joe Zagacki in an hour. The Canes, a top 15 basketball team, first place in the ACC. Thank you very much. And then we'll even have a guest in the bonus hour. Some big news coming out of Southwest Florida yesterday. The Shark Shootout is no more. And instead, the PGA Tour and the LPGA Tour is getting together with a joint announcement. They're going to turn that little shindig that they play in early December into a PGA, LPGA team event. And they're going to enlarge the field also. They've always had 24 golfers in that little golf outing in Naples. Now they're going to have 32. So we'll talk to the tournament director, Rob Hartman, in a couple hours about that.
And, you know, the old QB shootout had something going for it, which both Live Golf and the PGA Tour are doing now. Guaranteed purses. It's why this tournament's always been a big hit to those that are invited. I mean, last place used to be $36,000 or something like that. I mean, that was last place.
Correct.
4 days at the Ritz in Naples, last place, you get 36 grand.
I think it was even more than that.
You're probably right.
But yes, it's okay in the silly season. It's just not okay during the season.
But I think they'll end up with a very nice field.
I do as well. Well, first off, the LPGA Tour is thrilled.
Of course they are.
The female golfers are thrilled because also of what it says. Okay, really? So the men want to play with us. They actually think this is worthwhile. Wow. Let's face it, 1999 is the last time they did this. The LPGA Tour has been told by the PGA Tour for a generation now, now we're good.
And the other part of this, and as we, all sports are trying it, and they're going to have equal pay in this tournament.
Mm-hmm. $4 million split up among 16 teams. Do the math. I don't know. It seems like it's, worthwhile. It's 3 days of golf in Naples, early December. 2 weeks before Christmas, little spending money. I don't know. Weather's usually pretty good that time of year.
I'm excited because I think the tournament needed a little shot in the arm. And I think this does it. I think this adds a new element that'll be fun for fans. I don't know how much more it gets watched, but I think I don't know how many more people they can even put in there because it does pretty well attendance-wise. But I thought this was a nice shot in the arm for the tournament, particularly because some of the men they'll get now. Tony Finau and Ricky Fowler jumping right up and coming in. Those are pretty big names in the sport.
Tiger's event is the week before. Okay, so that I could see where they won't necessarily get everybody that they want because Tiger will have commandeered, a group of 12 to go to his, the Hero World Challenge or something like that the week before in Orlando. Now, maybe if they get somebody who goes to that, they just get them back. Come on, what's one more week?
What's one more free paycheck?
Yeah.
In a nice hotel.
Get on the private plane. I think it's 32 minutes from Orlando to Naples. Come on. Just what do you say? But we'll see. We were sent this DM, tweet. I don't know what it was. Anyway, it took me a day to find it. Remember we were talking on Monday about the college football rule changes with the clock that are being proposed?
Yep.
And we both said, well, come on, they're never going to go to essentially the soccer clock, in which even after incomplete passes, once they reset the ball, that they'll start running the clock again. We're like, come on, they're never going to do that. Well, John sent us a factoid. He said college lacrosse had a problem about 10, 15 years ago. The matches took way too long because apparently they played 15-minute quarters, but the clock stopped all the time. All the time. And so it would just take forever, even though there's only 15 minutes up on the board. Same with football. 15 minutes on the board, the quarter could take an hour. College lacrosse experimented with going to a 22-minute running clock for non-conference games, apparently in college lacrosse. And according to him, he said, dramatically improved the game. All right. Clock doesn't stop for anything. Once it starts, 22 minutes, it's like soccer. It just keeps going. Okay. Even when they score a goal and they celebrate, the clock's still going. And in his opinion, dramatically improved the game. The players got smarter. The tempo dramatically increased. Scoring went up. I mean, if the clock shows 18 seconds, you only got 18 seconds. And he said the other thing, the time of games dramatically reduced. He said like an hour less time to play a college lacrosse match. Now, he said this was non-conference games, and when they did it, I don't think they do this in their regular, like when I watch the NCAA tournament lacrosse, I don't see the soccer clock. I see the clock stopping, but he also said attendance went up dramatically with, shorter games and more people willing to, I'll invest 2 hours. I'm not investing 3.
Well, I think that little point that you made, David, is the one part of this, because I know where you're going with it, is to see if something like this would ever occur in football. The attendance thing intrigues me because college football has an attendance problem and they're going to continue to have one. It's tough when you look at the top schools and what the ticket demands are for the Georgias, the Alabamas, but start looking at the middle of the rung schools, the lower rung schools. They're having attendance problems. And does length of game equate to why the attendance problems are there? You've pointed out that it has, at least with the students.
Absolutely. I mean, that's the number one problem in college football attendance, is that first on campus, they can't get the students. And even though they don't make as much money on the students, also think about it. Why do you want the students? Because then in theory, you're doing what? You're building in your next generation of fan. You want them at the games. You want them invested. Remember Nick Saban a couple years ago publicly scolding the students, basically, what, the product's not good enough for you? And then when the students were walking out in the fourth quarter, he basically said, here's the deal. Okay, if you come, you stay for the whole game. Otherwise, don't come. And they listened.
I'm not on an NIL.
But they listened.
I know.
I don't want to say they don't listen to their parents. They don't listen to their teachers. Hell, they don't listen to their boyfriend or girlfriend. Nick Saban threatens them from afar. We can't leave. Why? Nick will kill us.
Every professor at Alabama was going, can we get Nick to come in class and just talk? Can we get something on tape that says you've got to stay for the entire class and you have to show up for all the classes? You know why? Because Nick said so.
I don't want to say he's powerful or anything. He publicly scolded the students. And the students, I mean, honestly, the president of the United States, and I'm not just talking this one, I'm talking any of them, could say to the students, come on, you must do this. And the students would be like,
blank you.
Right, give me a break. Nick Saban says, here's the deal. If you come, you stay for the whole game. Yes, sir.
Yes, coach.
Got it. And just so you know, the students at Alabama, they're the first ones in. Like, they have to get their spots. So there you are 90 minutes before kickoff. In fact, Nick Saban gets there 2 hours before the game. And he has a pregame ritual in which he comes out the end zone and he walks straight down the middle of the field to the other goal line. And then he turns around and he walks back. That's his pregame ritual. And the funny thing is, 2 state troopers accompany him, one on each side. It's a spectacular, okay? And so the on-field reporter knows you just wait at the end zone that he started at because he's going to do his lap down the middle of the field, okay? And usually, as Nick's walking to the far side, the Alabama students are already standing there lined up. He gets a standing ovation just for breathing.
For walking.
For walking.
For a 200-yard walk.
Right. Yep. And he waves. Okay. And, more noise, and then he turns and he walks and he goes back and he does an on-field interview with the sideline reporter. It's 2 hours before kickoff.
And the students are already there.
Oh, standing in attention. They're there. They're not even seated. They're standing. It's kind of like we can't sit till Nick leaves the field.
So they tailgate, have to get there 2 hours early, and have to stay for a 4-hour football game, and they get chastised for leaving early. And
Correct.
That's the student's fault. Okay.
Right. So Nick, for 6 hours, Nick's got him. For 6 hours, he's got him.
You know how much booze you have to sneak in to keep a buzz?
I know.
6 hours?
You think how early you have to start. Remember, if it's a CBS game, it's 2:30. So you're standing there at 12:30 local time. You got to start early. Got to admit, though, I mean, you could damn near bring a cooler into Bryant-Denny Stadium. I mean, it's Mississippi State's the most lax security I've ever seen. I mean, I have to admit, that's like going through Newark Airport. I mean, you could bring in a gun.
Tiger
Okay.
Stadium in LSU was not much better, David. They're actually handing you flasks as you walk in there.
Well, you also were there for the Alabama game. I mean, let's face it.
There were no rules that day.
They got 150,000 people in the parking lot. We're just trying to keep it to about 92 in the stadium. We don't care which 92. How about Hops with a cheap shot in our Twitch chat room? I'd give Moulton a standing ovation for a 200-yard walk. I resemble that remark.
But not the 10-foot dash, because that he's got cold. If there's a foul ball within 8-10 feet, get out of his way. He's coming hard. He's coming fast.
I am.
He's got a low center of gravity. So just get out of the damn way.
I'm like those shot putters, man. In that little circle there, I am dangerous.
Miller and Moulton. The text line's open at 21,000. A running clock.
It just pointed out to us in another college sport, they went to the running clock with tremendous results. Okay, interesting. I don't think we're there yet, but that's interesting. Miller and Moulton, thanks for listening. Florida Sports Network.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Did you get that Phil Steele thing I sent you?
I did.
I didn't look at it, so I didn't see what the greatest offer ever was. I just know we were talking about what we're going to be spending money on. And
VIP bundle. Get the magazines first. Get the digital value. Get 4 months of. Let's see. You get the magazine.
mm-hmm.
You get the digital version of the magazine.
Okay.
You get Phil Steele Plus through September. And then you get a newsletter.
How much more is it than just buying the magazines?
I think we about twice as much. I want to say we spent like $35 or $40 for 2 magazines last year.
15 seconds.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
It's 21 minutes past the hour, top of the morning to you. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. You miss any part of the show, you can always download our podcasts, floridasportsnetwork.com. Dalton Miller, profootballnetwork.com will join us next segment. Joe Zagacki at the top of the hour. How about them Canes? 7-game winning streak, top 15 in the country in both polls. First place in the ACC. Thank you very much. They went to the Elite Eight last year. Could they go even further this year? We think they're a sleeper Final Four contender. Going to be that 3-4 seed you don't want to play. Couldn't you see it, Mark? Like there were 4, and if you're a 1 seed, you get the Canes in the Sweet 16. That is not going to be a fun day.
No, we've talked about it. They can score. They've got really good guard play. You see them get a Houston
Totally.
in that Sweet 16 game.
Houston, which struggles to score, and I know they're great defensively, but veteran backcourt with the Canes, and they can score on anybody. I'm telling you, you heard it here first. That's a sleeper Final Four team. The Miami Hurricanes. Voice of the Canes, Joe Zagacki, to join us coming up in 40 minutes. Listen, I left something out of the starting 5 that I probably shouldn't have. Did you see the news about Matt Patricia?
Yeah.
He interviewed for the Broncos defensive coordinator position. Now, I just saw that he interviewed. Okay, that he has not been hired, that he's one of the 3 finalists. It's him, Vance Joseph, and Rex Ryan. But there's also a lot of reporting that went on late yesterday that Patricia better get this job because the thought is in New England he's going to be out of work. Because, well, the Lions have been paying Patricia this whole time that he's been in New England. And now the Detroit money has run out. And that Bill may just be done with him. So that Matt may really need this gig. You know, Rex can always stay at ESPN. I don't know about Vance Joseph. I don't know where, although he's getting paid by somebody. I know that. But just thought that was interesting. Sean Payton interviewing him for the defensive coordinator position after he was the offensive coordinator.
Well, thank goodness he wasn't interviewing him for that job because we all know he can't do it. I mean, Bill wants to get rid of him. Bill hired him for the wrong damn job.
Yeah, well, I mean, Mac Jones doesn't know what was going on in New England last year. Patriot fans don't know what was going on in New England last year. It just, the whole thing didn't make sense.
No,
really
the latest Bill experiment didn't make sense to any of us. It really didn't. I mean, I know he's the mad scientist and he can do anything with any roster and make more out of it than most teams can, but maybe he can't put the square peg in the round hole when it comes to coaches because he put Patricia on the other side of the ball and they were a mess last year.
So I saw that he interviewed. I did not see that he was hired. And I'm looking for reports, but it looks like that's the final 3 for the defensive coordinator job in Denver. If you were Rex Ryan, by the way, you're 60. Would you leave the cush ESPN gig that I'm pretty sure is paying you 7 figures?
I wouldn't, but I'm not a coach with that mentality. I mean, I'm a guy who loves the easy money any way possible. Not going to lie. I think everybody's figured that out by now.
Even if you have to wear makeup?
Oh, I've no problem with makeup.
Okay.
I don't want to look like a clown, but makeup, no problem.
Okay.
We've talked about this before. Coaches they are a different breed.
Yes.
I've gotten to know a lot more of them thanks to Pat Kerwin going to a few of the minor league hockey games, and he always brings a coach or two with him. And they are just all cut from a different cloth. They have an energy level most that is unmatched. And all of them, and you know this, David, coaches are not different than players in this regard. It's one thing that Rex gets to kind of get his locker room, if you will, with the guys and kick it around, and he's among a team. But it's not a football team. And it's not the same as in the locker room. And it's not the same type of drive. So they're made differently. I would never do it. I love the cushy job he's got. But I think, one, why is he in that job? He got fired. They all want another shot to prove that they were right and that they know how to do it best.
Tell you what, it'd be a huge coup for Patricia, though. I mean, if you think about it, because he now is branded as he's just a Belichick guy. And let's face it, outside of Belichick, none of them have had any success as a head coach. And they've had a lot less success as coordinators elsewhere, too. I mean, Romeo Crennel had success elsewhere. But, for the most part, I mean, Charlie Weiss's greatest success was as offense coordinator in New England. He was at a bunch of other places. I mean, outside of when he inherited the talent he inherited at Notre Dame, he had 2 good years. But when he had to produce it on his own, he couldn't. Kansas was an unmitigated disaster. 1 year as OC at Florida. I mean, Charlie's greatest success, I think you could say, was as offense coordinator in New England. And so in theory, for a chance to, first off, I mean, wow, Sean Payton thought highly enough of you to hire you? I think that raised a few eyebrows around the league because he's damaged goods right now. And then if he has some success, maybe gets another chance down the road. But that's an interesting trio. Rex Ryan, Matt Patricia, Vance Joseph. Apparently one of them is going to be the new defense coordinator in Denver. And let's face it, you're going to have full control of the defense. I mean, that's like Fangio in Miami. I mean, Mike McDaniel's going to be like, tell me when you guys are done.
Do you think Rex is coming back? Do you think he's going to get hired? I don't. I think he doesn't get the job.
I don't think he gets it either. But the fact that he interviewed Patricia after interviewing Vance Joseph and Rex Ryan tells me that if I was Vance Joseph or Rex Ryan, this interview yesterday with Patricia would bother me. So
it's almost as if they didn't like what they had and they're still looking to find, it's right. When Tampa went through 47 guys, they never found anything they liked. They just kept interviewing, and finally settled on the guy they settled on there from Seattle. But a shorter list, but when you start digging deeper, that usually doesn't bode well for the first couple of candidates.
So we'll see if Matt Patricia is clutch.
Time now for our clutch vodka play of the day. Felipe, what do you have for us today?
Crimson Tide freshman forward Brandon Miller heard all the noise heading into South Carolina last night. He would end up finishing the game with 41 points, 8 rebounds, 3 steals, 2 blocks. He had a game-tying layup to send it to overtime and then hit a game-winning layup to win it in overtime.
Brandon Miller has it in his hands as he gets the ball into the front court. Miller directing traffic 11, 10, 9. Brandon at 8, still with it at 7, at 6. Brandon at 5, at 4, at 3, at 2 for the win. It is good. Let's get out of here. 0.8 to go.
He had 6 3-pointers in that game also.
41 total. Miller with the game-winning layup in overtime as the Crimson Tide beat South Carolina last night by a deuce. That's our clutch vodka play of the day. That's clutch with a K. Go to clutchspirits.com and hashtag all your drinks on social media with the hashtag clutchspirits. That courtesy of the Alabama Radio Network.
Let's get out of here.
Let's go have a snack. That was close to that. That's what that play-by-play was going. What? I got my post-game order on the bus. Where's my pizza? That was supposed to be here before overtime.
41 for Brandon Miller. Alabama survives the road in conference at South Carolina by 2. We'll talk college hoops with Joe Zagacki in a half an hour, at least Miami Hurricanes college hoops. But coming up next, it's our weekly visit with someone from ProFootballNetwork.com. It'll be Dalton Miller on this Thursday.
That's coming up. Joe Zagacki, and we'll talk some golf in the bonus hour as well. Thanks for listening. Miller and Moulton right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6, and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Yeah, beast mode. People have gotten away with way worse things. And he's one of, if not the best player on one of, if not the best teams. It would be a shame to see his career cut short.
Opening XFL numbers were way down. Did you see that, David?
Although in St. Louis, it beat the Daytona 500.
They still had, I mean, there wasn't a game that had under 1 million people. So they're, you know.
Wait, what?
Every game did over 1 million.
Right.
mean, even the night games on ESPN and FX. Oh, I'm sorry. FX did 918,000 on Sunday. No. XFL didn't beat Daytona. It beat it in St. Louis, bad golfer, in one market.
No. Daytona ratings were really good, actually. And the gap between Daytona and the NBA All-Star Game is the biggest gap that NASCAR's enjoyed ever. It was the lowest rated NBA All-Star Game ever. It did like 4.4 million. I mean, it was only like 5 years ago. It was doing 3 million more viewers than that. So the NBA drop in All-Star Weekend is precipitous. Did hear a few NASCAR people complain about the number of commercials, though. And as we pointed out, with 18% of the race under caution, should not have missed a lot of race action.
Dalton's on hold. We're back in 15. Here we go.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"22 minutes before the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Joe Zagacki, the voice of the Canes, to join us at the top of the hour. It is always football season. And this day and time of the week, we talk football with the good folks at ProFootballNetwork.com. Dalton Miller, kind enough to join us on this Thursday. Lead football analyst for Pro Football Network, ProFootballNetwork.com. Follow Dalton on Twitter. Dalton, the letter B, Miller. Dalton B. Miller. Dalton, it's David and Mark. Thanks for your time. Did you interrupt vacation to do this? I'm following you on Twitter. Okay, you've got beautiful scenery from just a few hours ago. You didn't stop your vacation for this, did you?
No, so I took that picture on Monday when we took a walk. That is actually, I live in Portugal, so that is the scenery that I get. But last week I was kind of on a little mini vacation. I was still working throughout the week and throughout the Super Bowl, but we had some friends fly over here for the first time, and we got to do a little traveling last week, so that was fun.
Okay.
All right. How does a Sunday, I'm just curious now, you threw me on a tangent. How does a Sunday go for you in Portugal trying to get all the NFL in? Is it a long nap to get ready for the 6 o'clock kickoffs?
It is a very long nap to get ready for the 6 o'clock kickoff, and then a very, very long night for me. While everybody else in the country of Portugal is sleeping, I'm still awake watching football. Yep.
Well, you're invested heavily in the draft. What is it that you've seen here recently that kind of raised your eyebrows, either in a good or bad way?
I'm still really interested in the quarterback conversation. Obviously, quarterbacks kind of dominate any draft cycle. And this is a really good one. I think that you have two really good and kind of safe options at the top. I know some people will be concerned with Bryce Young's size, and that is obviously a fine concern to have, especially because, on top of being short or on the shorter side, he is also not a very big quarterback either. So I do think that the concerns there are somewhat, okay to have. But I think that we're starting to come around a little bit on Anthony Richardson. I think people are starting to figure out that the conversation between him and Will Levis should not really be a conversation at this point. I think that Anthony Richardson is kind of clearly the better prospect. And that doesn't mean that he'll be the better pro all of the time, with these guys in the top half of the first round and as first round quarterbacks, you're going to hit about 50% of the time. So you can pretty much cue two of these guys to be a success at the next level and two of them not to be. But at this point, if I have to bet on one of those guys, it would definitely be AR-15.
And as, two guys here in Florida that watched him a lot in the last year, I'm one guy that wouldn't touch him, Dalton. What is it about Miller that intrigues you the most?
Yeah, so with
Richardson, rather. I'm sorry.
Yeah, with Richardson, I think for me, it's that we've seen this before. We've seen the exact kind of track with a guy like Josh Allen with AR. And I think that he still needs to get more seasoning. I think that he has a long way to go, with his lower half. But I think mentally you can see the process is going through. You can see him figuring it out on the go as he gets more reps. And as a first-year starter, not having many college reps, that's where I kind of go with him. You can see the flashes of consistent processing. Doesn't happen all the time, but he's getting there. I think that he wants to be a pocket quarterback who also has freakish athletic ability. And I think with these young guys, especially these days, with the new CBA that was signed in 2007, 2008, these pocket passer types, and that's not where Will Levis is either, but the pocket passer types just don't really exist anymore because they don't have enough time on task. They don't get the reps that they need to become the Drew Breeses and Tom Brady's and Matt Ryan's anymore. They don't get those reps in the offseason because there's not enough practice time. So you need to be able to pick up third downs with your legs early in your career, and that's exactly what Anthony Richardson can do. I think that he can do that at a higher level than somebody like Will Levis. I actually think that he's kind of a mix as a runner between Justin Fields and Josh Allen, and that's a freaky thing to think about because he is about as big as Josh Allen, and that's not to say that Justin Fields is a small guy, but he runs with the physicality of Justin Fields a little bit. He doesn't invite contact quite as much as as Josh Allen does, and that's less concerning. But I think that he has really good horizontal quickness as well. He can make guys miss. He's really, really shaky. And I just think overall, he would be the third quarterback that I take, but he would be the third quarterback that I take. And if I'm in a GM in the top 10, that's the guy I would bet on over somebody like Levis.
He's Dalton Miller, lead analyst for Pro Football Network, profootballnetwork.com. Follow Dalton on Twitter, Dalton, the letter B, Miller, Dalton B. Miller. Are you, when you look at him, if I'm the GM and I call you, are you thinking I got to play this guy right away because he didn't get a ton of snaps and he needs work? Or are you thinking, listen, I like him as a prospect, but I do not think you should throw him in right away? Because, if you compare him to Josh Allen, the Bills threw him in right away. He took 2 years of snaps and he was pretty mediocre, but he got the work in. Or are you thinking like what the Chiefs did with Mahomes, which was, yeah, you're going to sit behind a veteran and you're going to learn for a year and then it's your show?
Yeah, it's always a difficult discussion, but I think with the type of player that he is, it's different from a guy like Malik Willis last year, who obviously from the mental side of things, he just needed to figure it out sitting behind somebody else. He obviously was not ready from the mental side of things. I think just like Josh Allen, a lot of the issues we see with Anthony Richardson are mechanical, and I think that takes time on task, doing it in live fire to be able to figure out. So I do think he's a guy that you would want to start early. And I also think the one thing that we didn't see a lot from Josh Allen early on were the design runs. I think a place, like Shane Steichen in Indianapolis, if they sit at number 4, would be a decent spot for Anthony Richardson to go. But I think you have to let him be an athlete early on. You have to let him, kind of like Brian Dable and Mike Kafka did with Daniel Jones this year. Listen, if your first and second read aren't there, tuck it and run. You have the athleticism to do it. Let him get that time on task, and I think that that's probably the best way to go with him personally.
How many quarterbacks do you see going in the top 10 then? Do you see all 4 of these guys going that early, Dalton?
I see 3 of them going in the top 10, or I hope that 3 of them go in the top 10. I hope that it takes a little bit of time for Will Levis to get taken. And that's not to say that I don't think Will Levis can be a successful NFL quarterback. I do. I just don't think he's nearly at the level of the other guys. I don't think that Kentucky offense did him a lot of favors. Didn't really ask him to go out and be a professional quarterback. And when you see teams, at the lower level of the SEC, or you see, FCS teams, you'll see offenses that are built to battle against better competition. And that's exactly what the Kentucky team was trying to do offensively. There are flashes of him being a playmaker, but for me, I kind of see him as, a Ryan Tannehill with a better arm. I don't see him ever being a guy who is going to be a facilitator throughout the field from sideline to sideline. I think that he's a guy who's going to have to kind of live off of play action, hitting those levels, underneath safeties and behind linebackers, but trying to make the job easy for him early on, I think is going to be huge for his success early.
Tannehill, I believe, was the 3rd quarterback taken in his draft, and he was taken, I believe, 9th overall. Okay, you're not recommending Levis, who would be the 4th quarterback taken in your ideal draft. Tennessee's at 11, Houston's at 12. Okay, do you think that, because in theory, if either one of those teams are drafting him there, they're drafting him and saying, hey, you're the answer at quarterback. It doesn't sound, Dalton, like you think he's the answer. You think he's an interesting prospect.
Yes, that's kind of exactly how I look at it. And I'm a pretty strict grader when it comes to quarterbacks. So like even Anthony Richardson for me will have a 2nd round grade. I go by a numerical system, and what the numbers tell me I go with. So even AR is a 2nd round guy for me, but because of what I see from him physically, if I'm a general manager, I would take that risk. I just don't see that on the field with Levis as often. I think that if you have a good situation around him, you can kind of build and ice and insulate him a little bit. But I don't know if he's going to be ready right away, because I think that there's going to be a big learning curve for him. And, a place like Tennessee at 11, if he's able to actually sit behind Ryan Tannehill for a year, if they keep him around, I think that could be a spot for him. I would like to see him sit for a year. But we'll just have to wait and see how high he gets taken, because all season and at the start of the offseason, we kind of heard that he might be, even the 1st quarterback taken. And I think that you're going to get a GM fired if that's the case, and your coach is probably going to get fired too. But yeah, for me, he's just not the guy.
Mark, I wonder, could he be the one that falls to the middle of the 1st round, and will he be there for Detroit at 18? I mean, think about it. Could sit behind Golf, but give them a much cheaper alternative to Golf in 2024 and beyond. Just throwing that out there. If you're a Lions fan, is that actually something you want to see, or no?
And what do you think Chicago will end up doing? Do you think they'll be able to move out of that number 1 spot? Will there be enough there for someone wanting Stroud or Bryce Young?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think there's going to be something there. I don't know who it'll be. I would imagine Indianapolis is going to try to make a move to get up to number 1. We've heard rumors about them, moving on or trying to trade Fields or taking one of those guys. I don't see that happening. I think with the $90 million that you have in free agency, you try to build a team around Justin Fields and see how it goes. And then if you're still bad, you can take one next year. There's always going to be quarterbacks, and if you're bad enough, you can draft one. But I do think a team will look to move up to that 1st pick, and I think they're able to move down, still get somebody like Will Anderson out of the deal, or Jalen Carter. It is going to be a nice little draft haul for the Chicago Bears who need it.
Can you help me with Will Anderson? I watched him a lot the last 2 years. He was tremendous in 2021. He was blocked a lot of the time last year. I mean, he really was. His big games were against like freshmen at Texas A&M. And if it came down to me between Jalen Carter and Will Anderson, I think Will Anderson's a solid pro. I think Jalen Carter has the potential to go to Canton. Am I crazy?
You're not crazy. So I have kind of a rule with defensive tackles. We've seen this before. I was actually just writing about, some of the top, defensive tackles in the NFL. And it's kind of a really hard position to transfer from the college level to the NFL level. And I don't think that we give that credit enough, because a lot of the best defensive tackles we see, it's taken them 3 or 4 years. Look at Quentin Williams, for instance, where it took him 3.5, 4 years to actually get going. Vita Vea has kind of been on and off throughout his career. It takes time because it's a much more mental position than people give it credit for. And a guy like Jalen Carter, between him and Will Anderson, I think Will Anderson, you see the traits, you see the pass rush repertoire that he has, you see what he's able to do on the edge. Jalen Carter is a freak athlete. He's an absolute monster. But a lot of what he does is kind of just based off his athleticism. And he's not going to be able to win just in that way at the NFL level. He's going to have to learn how to become a pass rusher. I think taking Jalen Carter in the top 5 is absolutely fine, but I do think that his transition to the NFL is going to be more difficult than it will be for Will Anderson. It comes down to what you have to deal with. And on the interior, you have a center, you have 2 guards, and on the outside, you have an offensive tackle, and sometimes you get to rush against the tight end. If you're rushing against the tight end, you're going to win. So it's just a little bit more difficult for those interior guys. For me, it all comes down to what the team needs. If the team needs the defensive tackle and you really, really believe that kid's going to Canton, you absolutely draft him over Will Anderson. Even if you think Will Anderson is ready more today to play in the NFL, if you think that the kid's going to be a Hall of Famer, you absolutely draft him.
He's Dalton Miller. He's a lead football analyst for ProFootballNetwork.com. Follow him on Twitter, Dalton B. Miller. Dalton, the letter B, Miller. Dalton, thanks for making time for us. We appreciate it. Hopefully we can do this again before the draft.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, gentlemen.
Dalton Miller, kind enough to join us here on Miller and Moulton.
From Portugal.
How about that?
I'm jealous. It's where I want to be doing the show from.
I will say you should check him out on Twitter. The pictures. All right. Doesn't suck. The views don't suck. That's all I'm saying.
And you know how good the food is? Oh, goodness, David.
Miller and Moulton. Well, we go from Portugal to Miami. The voice of the Canes, Joe Zagacki, with a top 15 basketball team that he's broadcasting these days. They've won 7 in a row. Catch up with Joe on the other side. Miller and Moulton, thanks so much for being with us, Florida Sports Network.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
You had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6, and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K. Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com. You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
That's a funny answer, by the way. Tums.
I don't know why they're not being loaded to Spotify. Ammo, I no idea.
I noticed that last week while I was out of town, and see, I was under the impression that the Omni program that we use does that, but I might have to reconnect some things. So I'll take a look at that. What the hell is Babblefish?
And ammo, you can thank Philly all you want. I'm the one that will take care of it because I'm already on it. I don't even know if Philly would know who to go to. No offense.
No offense. You know what I'm saying? No offense. I mean, no offense.
What's Vogon poetry?
Bless you.
Excuse me.
Salud.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It is the third and final hour of Miller and Moulton here on the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Joe Zagacki is kind enough to join us, the longtime voice of the Miami Hurricanes. And I think that's partly why his Twitter handle is Canes Voice. Canes Voice. Joe, it's David and Mark. We normally ask, how the heck are you? But you're broadcasting one of the top 15 basketball teams in the country and one of the top 15 baseball teams in the country. I'm guessing life's good.
Yeah, it is. The weather is nice, and winning is fun. I like winning. Winning's good. Winning's fun.
Joe, has this...
Miami's won 7 in a row in basketball, so they're on a roll, and they've got a chance to win the regular season ACC championship. I don't think the ACC acknowledges the regular season, but we will, and they've got a chance.
Well, what we found is that Miami's been disrespected. I mean, they're underdogs at Tech. Throughout this whole winning streak, it seems that they've been not given any credit for winning. Have they played with a chip on their shoulder this year?
I don't know if they played with a chip on their shoulder as much as they just played with fun for the most part. And it's funny, I'm not sure that kids are in tune with those things as much as we are. I think kids today, sports is something they play rather than being a student of. So I don't know. It's possible that, internally they talk about it, but I'm not 100% sure that they do. It's one game after another. And, you go all the way back to their youth leagues. They're playing so many games. Sometimes they become numb to that. But I do know this, what they're doing right now is playing with a lot of joy, playing free, playing smart, playing with great chemistry, and scoring a lot of points. And they could be really, I think they should have really like 2 losses the whole season. Now, that would have been interesting to see, and they would get the respect that you're talking about. They lost a couple of heartbreakers on the road. However, maybe those losses early in the season is why they're winning games now on the road and closing games out better. But they've been really good. I do think they should be ranked higher. I do agree with you guys. I don't think they're getting enough respect. I don't think Coach Larrañaga gets enough respect from anyone, not only the national media, but locally as well. I don't think he gets enough respect. He's probably one of the top 3 coaches I've been around in my career. I'd put him there with Coach Shule and Jimmy Johnson and Jim Larrañaga. I just have that much respect for him. I think he's a fabulous coach, and what he's done with Miami basketball is incredible.
Well, he's being talked about for the Basketball Hall of Fame, but I agree with you. When the college basketball pundits, that Larrañaga never gets mentioned as like one of the 10 best coaches in the game. Joe, you've been around sports, most of your adult life here. Those are pretty strong words. What is it about Jim Larrañaga that first basically won you over? Why is it you hold him in such high regard?
He connects, he's able to connect with every kid from every different background. When you go out and recruit these players, and usually the head coach comes in, for the close, and maybe the head coach is in connection with the player the whole time during recruiting, maybe not. But once you get them, you kind of have to re-recruit them on your campus once you have them. You got to brainwash them after you tell them how great they are. But he's able to connect with every player from every background, and he's able to develop every player from every background. I've watched him take Wilga Poplar from a tough spot in Philadelphia, and Wilga didn't play last year, to averaging almost 10 points a game this year, and over the last 9 averaging close to 10 points. Alani Walker is in the NBA. Alani Walker coming from Reading, Pennsylvania, and Coach Larrañaga able to just draw a great bond with him. Dwayne Dwayne Hewlett, who came from Northern High School here in Miami, had no low post game at all. Turned him into a really good low post player. But he is able to look at his situation and say, okay, this is what we have. We can only coach what we have. I can't dwell on what I don't have. So he's coached tall teams, short teams, injured teams, healthy teams, and this year a short and fast team, and makes it work. He just takes what he has and makes it work. And I was telling him the other day, I said, you know who you remind me of? So you guys remember Bum Phillips, what he said about Coach Shula? He can take hisn and beat urine, and take urine and beat hisn. And that's kind of Coach Larrañaga. Whatever he has at Miami, and believe me, at Miami, you're not recruiting the same kind of guys you're going to get at Carolina or UCLA. If you're at one of those schools, you can recruit to a direct style of play. And Miami, you got to be flexible, and that's what he is. He's flexible from year to year, from game to game, almost from minute to minute. And he makes the best in-game adjustments of any basketball coach I've seen.
They've had great guard play. They're veterans back there. They can score. Is there an area that you're concerned with this team? Because to us, they look like they're a potential Final Four team because you've got to score in the tournament, and Miami has not had a problem doing that this year.
I think they can make the Final Four. And I think they make the Final Four because what you just said, they can score, and they can go into a game and it can be tight. And these tournament games, players might be even tighter, but they can blow a game open in 2 minutes. Isaiah Wong scored 13 points in a row in 2 minutes against Wake Forest and turned that game upside down. Nigel Pack a month ago against Virginia Tech had no points going into the final 5 minutes and scored 17 and blew that game open. My concern would simply be size. If they get into a game where the size becomes an overwhelming factor. For example, Miami did have a game earlier this year against Syracuse, and at one point, Syracuse, just every play, they just threw the ball to Jesse Edwards as high as they could. And it didn't matter how high or hard guys like Isaiah Wong were jumping. They just couldn't reach that, couldn't get up in the air that high. So a team that knows how to use their size or plays the great size, I don't know that there are many of them out there other than Purdue, could create a problem. That being said, Norchad Omier, even though he's 6'7", he's a real problem for guys because he's so strong. Moving Norchad Omier is like moving an oak tree. And I think the first thing that players do, tall players, when they get in against him is they want to get a feel for the physicality of the game. How can they play against him? How can they score in the low block against him? And how do they defend him? And they find out that he's a lot stronger than, he looks strong, but I think when they play him, they find out he's a lot stronger than what they see on tape.
Canes host the Knowles Saturday, late afternoon, 4:00. That's when Joe Zagacki is back at work, although he'll do some baseball before then. Joe Zagacki, longtime voice of the Miami Hurricanes, and that's how you can follow him on Twitter at Canes Voice, Canes Voice. Hey, did Larrañaga have to do something different? What was it, 2-3 years ago? Guys were below 500. You were shorthanded. You were grabbing a guard off of FGCU just to help fill out the roster. And now you're going to the Elite Eight 1 year, and we think you're a Final Four contender the next. Was that just one down year, or did Larrañaga have to regroup?
Well, really what happened was the FBI came in. You guys might remember that whole Adidas situation, and Miami's name got tossed in there by mistake. But the FBI came in, and let me see, I have to get my years correct, but Miami was coming off a NCAA tournament appearance where they had Bruce Brown and Lonnie Walker, and had just got beat by Loyola of Chicago in the first round. So it's when Loyola made the run to the Final Four. But at that point, Miami, I think, had been to the tournament 3 years in a row and had made a Sweet 16 appearance, lost to Michigan State, lost to Loyola 3 years in a row, and were recruiting at a high level, and their name got tossed into the FBI investigation, and they lost their entire recruiting class. for 2 years in a row. And at the time, they had some really, really good players committed to them. So they were handcuffed. They didn't recruit anybody. And this is prior to transfer portal becoming what it is today.
Right.
They went and got a few transfers to fill out their roster. But on top of that, they suffered an incredible amount of injuries. So it really put them in a tight spot. Nobody wanted to come. They had, I don't know, six of the top 100, six of the top 300 players, maybe top 150, committed to coming in and lost them. So they had no roster. They did not have an ACC caliber type of team. And that being said, they still were competitive in some of the games. So the difference is, I can remember going to practice 2 summers ago, walking in and saying, "Hey, coach, you got a full roster. This is pretty cool. You finally got an entire team." And they went to the Elite Eight. So the difference is they've got an entire team. They play a rotation the last 2 years of 8 or 9, maybe 10 if they have to, but primarily 8 or 9. And they have good players. They have veteran players. He runs a great system. They're really well coached. And right now they're on a roll just like they were last year. But he's got an entire roster of good players. He did use the transfer portal, by the way, this year with Nigel Pack and Norchad O'Meara. And those two guys have really helped them.
He's Joe Zagacki. He's broadcasting a top 15 men's basketball team, a top 25 baseball team, longtime voice of the Canes. Follow him on Twitter at Canes Voice, Canes Voice. Listen, enjoy the next few weeks. Hopefully we can talk again, say, on the eve of the tournament.
Hey, listeners, we went through an entire conversation. We didn't talk football. How's that possible?
I know. Well, that's because we're talking the teams that are winning, Joe.
Yeah, that's right. You start doing that math right now. You know, they've won 7 in a row. You got 2 regular season games left. Then it's 3 to win the ACC tournament. And then it's, you know, what you have to do next. You have to win 6. So Miami's won 7. This is going to be an interesting ride here in March, that's for sure.
Joe, thanks for spending part of it with us. Safe travels. We'll talk again soon.
Anytime, fellas. Thank you.
Joe Zagacki. 21, 22 years now, voice of the Canes.
That is interesting that he said at the end, though. 7 in a row. They've got 2 more regular season games. They've got Florida State and Pitt. And then the ACC tournament. Yeah, you want them to keep winning. But that sounds like it would be 18 in a row to keep this thing going until the end.
I will say this, though. If they can win 2 more in a row, worst case scenario, they would share the regular season ACC title. Mark, that would be 2 times in 10 years Miami's won the regular season ACC in men's basketball.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Yeah, Watson Lubin. Here's the funny thing. Nowadays, that's considered part of a successful program. You can't hold that against anybody anymore. In fact, you criticize the programs that don't have their NIL together. By the way, Philly, so you're saying today, if we gave you the Celtics and we had the field, you'd make that bet?
Most likely, yes.
Well, no, it's a yes or no. It's you don't most likely make a bet. You either make the bet.
I can't tell you who will be healthy or not. So
okay, a healthy. We'll make the bet right now. We'll write down a healthy Boston Celtics. Okay, and Miller and Moulton get the field. You'd make that bet.
Yes.
Okay.
It's close with the Bucks.
Well, that's just it. It's why we would take the field, because that series in and of itself is a toss-up series.
It really is.
I would be willing to make this bet with you. Okay, winner of Boston Milwaukee wins the finals. You can have the field. I would take the winner of Boston Milwaukee.
All right, I would agree with you 100% then, because it was a toss-up without Chris Middleton. Now they have Chris Middleton. That's why I said Boston is a top 2 team. That other team being Milwaukee.
So,
yeah.
Oh, this Ryan Thompson, pitcher for the Rays, went to arbitration and basically tweeted out the whole thing that happened.
That's amazing.
His tweet says, "My thoughts concerning arbitration thread. I want to make it clear, although I lost my case, there is absolutely no ill will towards the Rays, as they were professional and respectful as possible considering the circumstances. This is merely a review of the process. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Gosh, there's about 25 tweets that make up the whole thread that he goes after the arbitration system and the people that are doing the arbitrating, not knowing baseball. Pretty fascinating.
Ryan Thompson?
Yeah.
Yeah, Ryan Thompson, guys.
By the way, he was a Campbell Camel.
I got that from his Twitter handle there.
Jim Bowden, I thought, had an interesting, if we want to talk about this, Jim Bowden, I thought, had an interesting solution to arbitration. He said, instead of it being the teams versus the player, make it be Major League Baseball versus the MLB Players Association. Okay, that the teams send their stuff to, Major League Baseball, and the player and the agency sends their stuff to the lawyers at MLBPA, and have them go hash it out.
I mean, I kind of read it quickly, but just about how the Rays discredited certain things and just basically he doesn't think the arbitrators knew baseball that well.
Here's the funny thing. Arbitration has worked for the players because it helped dramatically increase salaries at an earlier date. But the owners beat the players in arbitration basically 2-1 every year. The owners win at arbitration when it goes more times than they lose.
1 minute.
Did you hear Corbin Burns of the Brewers?
No.
He lost at arbitration, and he said, well, that was interesting. Basically, they blamed me for us not making the playoffs.
Wow.
He goes, I'll never forget that. And so the reporters are like, so is this going to affect your long-term relationship with the team? And he went, yeah, you could say that.
Lends more credence to what Bowden talked about, though.
Right. And that's why he said he always hated it, because he had to do it as a GM. He said, I hated it. I would beg forgiveness from my star players before we went in the room about what it is I'm about to say about you.
Coming back.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"21 minutes past the hour." Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Coming up top of the hour, it's the bonus hour. We know 3 of our 4 affiliates don't carry it, but we're going to have what we think is an interesting conversation. Rob Hartman runs a golf tournament in Southwest Florida. For the longest time, it was the Shark Shootout, QBE Shootout. Now it's going to be the Grant Thornton Invitational, PGA and LPGA getting together, and they're going to play a mixed team event. 16 twosomes competing. They used to do this back in the 80s and 90s, and basically the PGA Tour players got bored with it. None of the top ones would play in it anymore.
Rob's going to be fired up. Just the field increases. That's that many more Pro-Am spots.
Come on. We all talk about in our next life the jobs that we would have. Do you know what I never threw out there for you, but when I think about it, it'd probably be a top 5? How about tournament director of a golf tournament? You would love that.
I would love it. Trust me, there were times I've thought about calling Rob and saying, is there anything available? Anything.
And of course, he'd come back with, the caddy barn there, the cart barn at Tiburon, but.
And there's been times that looked very appealing to me, David.
Listen, you got to do 20 hours with me a week. I could see where it would be. Never mind all the other stuff we deal with. Just you dealing with me, I can see where the cart barn would be.
That's the easy part of this, though. That's the easy part.
That's what you say now. Because we've, sanded all the edges after 17 years.
Got a few texts today. And I really just wanted to read you one, David.
Okay.
Just had popcorn in bed. It was glorious.
Here we go. That's what I'm talking about.
Comes from yesterday's show. Do you eat in bed was our poll question. To which 7 of 10 of you do not eat in bed, but there are 30% like David Moulton that is an extension of the dining room.
So today is apparently National Chili Day.
Yes.
Right? Along with toast and what? Banana bread?
Banana bread, yeah.
Okay. And so I said, oh, well, you could eat chili in bed. And you two went nuts. Oh, my. And I'm like,
who brings a bowl with cereal, soup, chili, whatever it may be? Who brings a bowl with liquids to bed?
Well, I do. And the reason is it depends on the bowl, I will say. Okay,
it depends on the bowl.
It depends on the bowl, because let's face it, they can be shaped differently. Like, I will say this. Like, when I ate the stew out of the bed last week, I didn't take it out of the Tupperware and put it into a separate dish. I thought and looked at the Tupperware and said, I like this. High sides. Okay, this is perfect. And I just grabbed it, went in the room. The game was on. I just ate the stew out of the Tupperware and continued to watch the game. I used the Tupperware to my advantage.
Let's get to a couple of key questions here. Did you even warm the stew up?
No. No.
Oh, my.
I will say, I'll give you a little credit here, even though you don't deserve any. The cold stew is going to be thicker than it's warmed up. There are less chances of spilling the cold stew as there is the warmed up stew. I will give you a tiny bit of credit for that, but I don't think it's really deserved, because all that really happened was you grabbed the stew out of the fridge, you looked at it, you opened it and said, this would be better warmed up, but why do I want to waste 90 seconds warming something up that I could just eat right now?
Well,
because I do the same thing. This is good warmed up, but you know what?
Yeah,
Just fine like this.
Exactly. It would be better warmed up, but why bother? Okay. And you're right. It's more congealed and less chance of spilling. And I'm using this way I don't have to put it into anything different. Okay. No, this is perfect. All right. Very quickly. So I'm dating my who would turn out to be wife. And we were 3 hours apart at the time. And so I drove up to see her, and I'm sleeping on, and she's in grad school. So she's living at home, and I'm sleeping on the couch. Okay. When I go to visit her, obviously, I mean, it is only a minister and a minister's wife, I mean, it's not like, we're shacking up in the room. So I'm sleeping on the couch.
At least they didn't go old, 18th century and sew you to the bed or something like that.
No. So I get up, everybody goes to bed before me. I'm downstairs by myself. All the bedrooms are upstairs, and I'm watching a little TV and what have you. And sports are on, and it's late. And so I'm hungry. So I get up and I walk into their kitchen, and they've got, the canned, SpaghettiOs and spaghetti and meatballs and things like that. And so I just take it, open up the can, and start eating out of it.
Of course you do.
Right. And so my future mother-in-law comes down the stairs, and she looks. And honestly, I thought she was going to run up the stairs and say to the daughter, "You have to end this relationship now." Okay. We cannot have him in the family. Okay. For as nice and as charming as he is at the family dinners and all this, and he really does seem to care for you. Okay. Well, I have to draw the line at the cold SpaghettiOs and spaghetti and meatballs out of the can. Okay. And literally, I was in the middle of eating the can, and she grabbed it out of me, threw it in a bowl, heated it up, and gave it to me. Okay. And I, of course, while she was doing it, wanted to open up another can and continue eating.
Right.
Right. So there you go. So that's how deep it runs, Mark. It runs very deep.
The facts, there are so many things to get into just in that detail, is that in your mid-20s, you were still eating SpaghettiOs and eating them out of a can.
Oh, yeah, that was late 20s even, yeah.
Late 20s. That was the first thing that I took out of that. Secondly, that while I will allow SpaghettiOs as a pass because we all know at one point in our lives they were delicious, there has never been a time that a canned meatball in one of those things has ever been edible.
Oh, I'm sure it somehow, 25 years later, it led to kidney cancer. I have no doubt in my mind, but I don't care. Okay, I do it again. Okay, I mean, some game was on. I was hungry. Let's go. Plus, it's real easy to hide the evidence. It's a can.
No, that is true.
You rinse it out. You put it at the bottom of the garbage. They don't notice. In fact, Mark, I had two. She called me when I was eating the second cold can.
I got busted the other day by the wife. I took down the daughter's ice cream and buried the half gallon deep, threw some stuff over it, and she still somehow I didn't cover it up completely. The next morning, she sold me out to the daughter.
Wow.
The dad took down the ice cream again. Normally, I'll just take the whole bag out to the garbage. If I feel threatened, I just change the garbage bag. I don't care. There could be 10 things in it. Throw it out in the garage. They'll never notice.
Wow, I can't believe she sold you out like that. She didn't even give you a chance to go out the next day and replace it. I mean, that's what I do. I mean, I killed an entire thing of Tostitos yesterday. Okay, late in the afternoon, ran to Publix, got a brand new bag, put it in the thing. I mean, that's what you do.
He's not lying and we're not lying. This is a method that we have used for a long time.
Man, selling me out like that. That's, listen, it's your relationship and all, but I don't know. I'm concerned.
I have an ice cream problem, David. I can admit it. I mean, I will go to Culver's where they have those concrete mixers. Because of the daughter's softball league, we had to buy these little cards where you get coupons. The coupons for a buy one, get one. I went the other day and got a buy one, get one
for
you.
Me. Yes! Yes! That's the kind of show we're talking about here.
Went home with two of those things, sat down and watched Full Swing on Netflix, and I was never happier.
Yes! That's how we roll. Miller and Moulton, buy one, get one for ourselves.
For ourselves. And I can admit that, at least on this show. I don't think I can tell my wife. I can tell the audience at large and you and Felipe. I don't think I could admit to my wife that I went and got a buy one, get one concrete mixer and had them both for myself.
Man, your stock has never been higher in my eyes. And right now, that is awesome.
Don't know if I've ever been fatter, but that's another problem that we'll have to deal with. Miller and Moulton.
That makes me feel better too.
Thanks for listening, Florida Sports Network. Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com. Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
The one that's hard is a bowl of cereal in bed. I've tried that one before. Oh, baby jewels. BOGOs at Publix are the best. Me and Soph are going on Sunday to use her $200 Publix gift card. The objective is to buy as many buy one, get one free items as possible. Oh yeah. Jules, what I'll do is I'll make a cart like on the app, and I'll just use that as my list when I go to Publix.
I would hate to have groceries delivered. I love the grocery store.
Me too. I've done it before. Had the groceries. Well, I just pull up to the spot and they bring it out to me. But I like going to the grocery store, especially Publix. I mean, it is where shopping is a pleasure after all.
So I texted the guy that runs all the IT stuff for Marty that we're not on Spotify because he'll fix it. He's in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Jeff's the guy's name. Hey, our podcast are no longer on Spotify. Any idea as to why this would be happening? Nope. But as soon as the power comes back on here, I'll look into it. One thing to lose the power in a hurricane. It's another in an ice storm when it's 30 degrees.
Ooh.
Oh.
Sure, that brought back some trauma.
Very, very, very rarely did we. I remember losing power once in an ice storm in April for a few days, and that was pretty traumatic. But you didn't lose power in snowstorms, hardly ever.
10 seconds.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
$22 before the hour is up. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Rob Hartman, who's running a brand new golf tournament, the Grant Thornton Invitational, at the end of the year in Southwest Florida. PGA, LPGA Tour announcement yesterday. They haven't done one of these since 1999. We'll talk to him about it at the beginning of our bonus hour. If you miss any part of the show or you don't get the bonus hour in Lake City, Tampa, St. Pete, Port Charlotte to Venice, well, download our podcast, floridasportsnetwork.com, floridasportsnetwork.com for those that go Spotify for your podcasts. There's been a hiccup the last couple of days. It's being corrected. Okay, we apologize for that. May have to go elsewhere for the rest of the week, but we're aware of it and we're fixing it.
Can I ask you just a really general question?
Mm-hmm.
Who the hell is going to be the quarterback of the Tampa Bay Bucs next year?
I think it's going to be Kyle Trask. Bruce Arians came out yesterday and endorsed him. Now, I will say Todd Bowles is breaking away from Bruce Arians. He's fired a bunch of his coaches and that he inherited. And but I think financially, Mark, I think they're going to take a year. They're going to figure out whether or not he's the answer. They're going to let Fournette go, and they're going to hand the ball to Rashard White at $900,000 a year versus $6 million. I think they're going to make all these financial moves. They have to. They're in the second worst cap shape of any team in the league. I mean, Brady's costing them $35 million this year. There's no way to move any of that either. He retired. He submitted the paperwork. So it's on the books, $35 million. So when they look at the money they're spending at quarterback, it starts with $35 million.
And they've got one guy right now because Gabbert was a free agent. Brady retired. So they have Kyle Trask, and that's it.
And he'll be entering the third year as a second-round pick. So I'm guessing he's making $1 million. Maybe a shade more than that. And then my guess is they go find a veteran. Maybe they bring Gabbert back, but he may not want to back up Kyle Trask, so they have to go find somebody else. And they sign up for $3-4 million. And then, Mark, they say we're spending $40 million on a quarterback, 35 on Brady, 1 on Trask, 3 on his backup.
So it's looking more and more like this is a reset year for the Bucks.
Well, we brought it up and people said we were bat blank crazy, but it's funny now people covering the league and actually covering the Bucks are kind of like, hey, should they trade Mike Evans? Now it sounds absolutely bat blank crazy. I mean, why are you trading a Hall of Fame wide receiver? I mean,
because you're not going to be good for the next 2 years, more than likely, and this is where his value is highest. By the time you're where you want to be, what's Evans' value?
So you don't think they can win this division next year? Like if they kept Evans, they figure out a way to bring back a couple of those guys on defense. Remember, they're going to get 2 of their offensive linemen back healthy.
Yeah, first-year OC, Kyle Trask at quarterback, and Todd Bowles as the head coach. No, I don't think they can win the division.
Okay.
I don't think that's a recipe that I want to go into with winning. But they can prove me wrong because the division's so damn bad.
See, there you go. That's why, you and I were thinking bigger picture, little bit longer term. We're willing to sacrifice 2023 to be ready to win in 4.
And I think you have to sell everybody on what the Eagles did and how they turned it around with one bad year.
Right.
Because the Bucks have to, at some point, they have to pay the piper for what's going on with the salary cap.
Yeah. And make it be 2023. Make 2023 be Philadelphia's 2020 when the Eagles went 4-11-1. After making the playoffs for 3 straight years, just like the Bucks made the playoffs for 3 straight years. Bucks won the Super Bowl their first year of their 3-year run. So did the Eagles. Then the Eagles lost in the division round. So did the Bucks. Then the Eagles lost in the first round. So did the Bucks. Then the Eagles went 4-11-1. Fired their coach. Well, now here comes Tampa Bay's 2023 season. And then we know what's happened the last 2 years when the GM with cap flexibility and some trades where he acquired some picks. Now, he was damn near flawless for 2 years in personnel moves, and I don't think any of us think that Jason Light is going to turn into Howie Roseman. Okay, but, he's done some good things, obviously. His ledger's pretty mixed, but he's done some good things.
And, we have people in our Twitch chat room right away. You can't trade Evans. He's the face of the franchise.
Really?
Is that just been put on him now? Because he wasn't he wasn't the face of the franchise last year or the year before. It was Tom Brady, of course.
Also, do you need a face of the franchise? And I'm not being a jerk. All right, I'm not. Do you need a face of the franchise? Back in the day, you needed somebody to sell tickets, to put a front page of the media guide and all that sort of thing. Do you need a face of the franchise if you're an NFL team? This isn't an NBA team. This is an NFL team. Do you need a face of the franchise? Or does the helmet good enough?
I don't think you need one. What every team wants is the face of the franchise to be who? The quarterback.
Sure.
So unless you have that guy, you're still searching for that face of the franchise until you can find one. And might as well find out what Kyle Trask has.
Mike Evans, by the way, 9 consecutive 1,000-yard seasons. Fewest number of games he's ever played in a season's 13, by the way. And that was in a 16-game season. Mike Evans is durable. He's played 15 or 16 games in every year he's played except one. But he's now played 9 years in the league. First digit in the birth certificate becomes a 3 this year. If you're going to trade him, now's the time. This will be max value for Evans the rest of his career. Even if he has a terrific year trading. It's kind of like where the Cardinals are at with DeAndre Hopkins. He's 31. And he carries a big cap number. And he's on the market, apparently. Okay, Mark, if you're Tampa Bay, wouldn't you want to throw out there, hey, if you're considering D-Hop, call us. We'll give you Mike Evans, a year younger and a little cheaper.
And plays more
durable.
games, more durable, no doubt about it.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
because even with the suspension, D-Hop had, throw that out. D-Hop's had some injuries.
I mean, teams looking to go get their quarterback a number one wide receiver. Number one wide receivers have never had more value than they have right now. And Mike Evans is a 1. Even with him and Brady not being on the same page. Mike Evans is a 1. He's got 33 touchdowns the last 3 years.
What do they get for him? Is it just a 1?
Well, that's not bad.
No. I'm just asking. Is it a 1? Can they get the number 1 pick from somebody for him?
Well, the Eagles got, quote, just a 1 for A.J. Brown. Now, Brown, 5 years younger, not as good a player, though. I mean, he may be now, but, A.J. Brown had one big year when the Eagles acquired him. And the Eagles knew they had to pay him. And I think A.J. Brown's now making more than Mike Evans. And what did they get? Like the 22nd pick of the draft, something like that from Tennessee? They got Tennessee's first rounder. It was like around 22, 23, I think. Something like that. But Mark.
So I'm all for it.
Mark, if the Ravens called up Tampa Bay and said, we'll give you the 22nd pick of the first round.
Done.
Okay. And that's kind of what I'm asking there.
Done. But I'm trying to find the team because Philadelphia was perfect for A.J. Brown. They needed the 1. They were in position. They had the draft capital. Everybody in our Twitch chat room keeps going Chicago. Chicago doesn't have the draft. They're not giving up number 1 overall for Mike Evans. They don't have a second round pick. Now, would they give up a number 1 in 24? Maybe.
But what if it's Baltimore? What if the Ravens call you up and say, we'll give you the 22nd pick of the draft? If you're Tampa Bay, by the way, that means you'd pick 19th and 22nd. Have a nice little first round here to kind of, we're beginning our next era. I mean, you can argue, by the way. I know Tom Brady's the better player. We get that. But Brady gave you 3 years. I mean, you can make the argument this is the best offensive player in franchise history, Mike Evans. I'm telling you, he's going to the Hall of Fame. People don't seem to believe us when we say this. 9 straight 1,000-yard seasons to begin your career. Don't tell me about how offensive-minded the league is right now, okay? Take a look at how many people have done that.
Would you make that move, by the way, with Baltimore?
Yes, I would. I would want a little something extra if I could get it. Like they had 6 fourth-round picks last year. I'd almost ask them to throw one of those players in. Like, the Ravens have an abundance of tight ends. Tampa Bay doesn't have one. Okay, I would say, can you give me the 22nd pick, and can you throw me that third-string tight end you got? Because he'd be no worse than second string on our team. Something like that. I would just, give me a little something extra. But yes, I would do it. It's time to retool.
Bucks fans, 21,000. Is it time to retool? Would you move Mike Evans if given the opportunity? The text line is open at 21,000, 21,000. If you've never texted the show before, FSN Radio, all one word, is the keyword to get behind the gate. Once you've done that, you are in.
Another reason why I actually think you could get Baltimore to do it is Baltimore may be thinking we got a 1 to 2 year window to actually win our 3rd Super Bowl. Because this Lamar thing may not work out. So we may only have 1 or 2 more years with Lamar. So how about we kind of push the chips in a little bit? Plus the tight end's not getting any younger. All right, probably got 2 more years of him at an elite level. So I think you might be able to get Baltimore to kind of push some chips in, knowing what they're up against in the AFC. I don't think you can be conservative in the AFC. I think you can be very conservative in the NFC.
Well, and that's why I'm trying to think of AFC teams that need a one where this fits. And Baltimore is a really solid destination.
You know, Tennessee needs one, but Tennessee would have to think, are we ready to win? And they just made $38 million in salary cap cuts yesterday to get under the cap. But if you're Tennessee, are you thinking, well, if we keep Tannehill, Derrick Henry, Mike Evans, okay, let's line this sucker back up and let's go. Now, Tennessee's got the 11th overall pick. I don't think they'd give that up for Mike Evans. So now we start getting into, you know, you willing to take less than a one and multiple picks and
I know
that
it's
sort of deal.
I don't know what Dallas has. Dallas needs a receiver.
26th pick in the first round. They got cap issues, though. You know, like you do something like that, you're definitely not bringing Dalton Schultz back. You're certainly not bringing Zeke back on his current contract. You'd have to take a huge, huge cut.
Well, I don't think Zeke's back unless he takes a huge cut. They need Pollard more than they need Zeke on that team.
I totally agree. I'd tag Pollard. $10 million for Pollard and worry about see how he recovers from the leg injury and worry about it next year.
I agree with that 100% because that offense needs him. That was one of their two weapons that they had. Zeke was not a weapon last year.
By the way, just throwing this out there, Jacksonville. Yeah, I know you made a bunch of acquisitions and this, that, and the other thing. Is there anybody who's a one on that offense? Or do you have a bunch of twos and threes? It's kind of like a pitching staff, Mark. You know, St. Louis Cardinals for many years threw a bunch of – they went to the World Series one year with a bunch of number 3 and 4 starters. They didn't have really a 1 or 2 on the team, yet they won over 100 games. Or do you load up on the aces? You know, Jacksonville's got a lot nice, the Christian Kirks of the world, the Evan Ingrams of the world. That's really nice.
Ridley's coming on board.
But put Mike Evans with Trevor Lawrence now in that division. If you're Tampa, you call up Jacksonville and say, give me 24th pick of the draft. You can have Mike Evans.
I think there would be suitors for him. I think it's a deal that could get done. It's just a matter of whether or not Tampa wants to retool now. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
The waterways of Naples are a beauty to behold, and the Bayfront Inn has multiple ways for guests to enjoy the water and have some fun. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn. Something for everyone. On 5th Avenue in Naples.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com. You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
So apparently the Rangers are still trying to get Patrick Kane.
Yeah, I saw that. So I was watching that Full Swing, David, and Netflix just got the Sting recently, so they're showing that on the top, and I just went right from the final Full Swing, and I just clicked play and watched it for about an hour and a half. It's so good. It's so good.
Yep.
The poker scene with Newman being drunk and keeps calling Doyle Lanigan wrong names.
Lanigan, right?
Lanigan.
Lanigan.
Name is Lanigan. Oh, God, I was crying.
By the way, apparently the Gators about to lose another assistant coach. Their wide receiver coach is about to be hired by the Broncos.
Jeez.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It is the bonus hour. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Thanks so much for being with us on this final Thursday of February. And Rob Hartman's kind enough to join us. He had a busy day yesterday because he's the tournament director of a brand new tournament, which will combine the PGA and the LPGA tours, the Grant Thornton Invitational. It replaces the shootout on your calendar on the Southwest Florida sports scene. Rob, it's David and Mark. How the heck are you?
Gentlemen, good morning. How are you guys?
Well, we're fine. Take us through this. Obviously we all understand who follow golf, the complications that have arisen in the last, 18 months with Greg Norman's connection to the shootout and the shootout being a PGA Tour, event. And obviously the two couldn't coincide. But how did you – it's one thing to have Greg step aside. It's another thing to change the format entirely. How did this come about?
Yeah, absolutely, guys. Well, first off, thank you for having me on. And it was certainly an exciting day yesterday, really, for professional golf, for the LPGA, for the PGA Tour. In December, we wrapped up 34 years of an amazing QB shootout, raised over $16 million in that time. But as we've talked about, it was a natural conclusion with Greg moving on to live and our sanctioning agreement was up. We knew we were not going to be able to operate the event in the same way, shape, or form. And this idea of a mixed team event has been a priority for Commissioner Monahan, for Commissioner Molly Mark Husaman, since she came on board. This idea has been out there for a while. And it was a logical next step for us. And we feel very fortunate that we had a title sponsor and Grant Thornton step up and really saw the vision of both tours and want to put their name on this.
Well, Rob, it seems that obviously the couple of names that were announced, Tony Finau, the Corda sisters, and Ricky Fowler, I mean, big names off the get-go, but it seems that, this tournament before ended because there wasn't as much participation from the PGA Tour. It seems that the PGA Tour is fully on board, and it looks like the event's going to get a really good field.
No, it really will. And to come out of the gates yesterday with Ricky coming back to Naples for the first time in a while, obviously Tony's had a history of playing. We had Nelly Corda in December with Lexi. That was obviously incredibly well received. So I think across the board, you're going to see even a stronger field than we've historically had, with many of the top names here to play. And the support from both tours really has been unprecedented. It was an unbelievable team effort to get this announcement out yesterday. And we're really excited and bullish on the future.
Did this start in any way when you guys a few years ago started inviting an LPGA player, and then last year you invited two? Did that start this ball rolling? You wanted to see how the fellow male golfers accepted first Lexi Thompson and now one of the Cordas, and then how would the sponsor like it? Did that start this at all, or did that have nothing to do with it?
I think when you go back to when we first invited Lexi, at the time there was some chatter by the tours about wanting to put the men and women on the same golf course, playing for the same amount of money. And as you guys know, we have more flexibility with our event in Naples than most week out events, and it was something we wanted to try. I'm not sure at the time we ever thought we'd be where we are today, but there was certainly that thought that you just never know where things would go and evolve. And I will tell you, it was incredibly well received from the get-go. It was embraced by QBE at the time, and any of the male partners who partnered up with Lexi and or Nelly really loved the experience.
For the rest of the tournament, there's a lot of things that have gone on. The concert, the format. Are there any other changes to what the week is in Naples, Rob?
So, format, more to come. We are collaborating with the Grant Thornton ambassadors and both the tours on what the formats will look like. From a Pro-Am perspective, you guys know we operate a pretty exclusive Pro-Am experience over 2 days. That will remain the same, where you play with the PGA and LPGA Pro each day. And then Saturday Night Live Fest will certainly continue. We're working on our talent now, but that driving range will be packed on Saturday night as well.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Rob, and we're talking with Rob Hartman, who's the tournament director and has been for many years, of whether it was the Shark Shootout, the QBE Shootout, and now beginning this December, it will be the Grant Thornton Invitational. 16 PGA Tour players, 16 LPGA Tour players teaming up and competing against one another for a purse of $4 million. You increase the field. I believe you guys were always 12 twosomes, and the number was 24. The number's now 32. Is that because there's that much interest? That, was that driven by the tours, or was that driven by you guys?
I would say it was a collective decision. We've always toyed around with expanding the field, and we just wanted to maximize the playing opportunities for both memberships on both tours. And we kind of settled on 16 and 16. It provides, from a spectator standpoint, it provides for a longer window of golf throughout the day. So a better experience on the ground, a little bit of a better TV product. And the interest is high. And so it definitely allows us to add a few additional names on both sides.
When can we expect to start seeing more names, Rob? I know that's what people want to know. You come out of the gate swinging. When will we expect to see more names?
Yeah, I think we're probably looking early fall. We do need to get through the Tour Championship. There is some qualifying criteria about where you rank on both the CME rankings and your FedEx ranking after the Tour Championship. So you could see a few other sporadic announcements throughout the summer, but I anticipate early fall we'll have a major announcement with the rest of the field.
The $4 million purse, by the way, would be the 6th largest purse on the LPGA Tour, to give you an idea as to how significant this money is for the 16 LPGA players, never mind the 16 PGA Tour players. Do you think this is going to help, by the way, the CME Tour Championship, which will be, 3 weeks earlier? That has slowly beginning to take hold. It's a big deal on the LPGA Tour, and it's heavily promoted all year. But, Rob, I kind of sensed in the last post-COVID, I kind of sensed this past year in particular that event is finally starting to really take root in Southwest Florida.
No, it really does. And you guys, full disclosure, know we operate the CME Group event as well. From a spectator standpoint, it's the last, we'll call it 2 years, it's been really strongly attended. What CME has been doing, obviously, through the support of Terry Duffy, their CEO, who's really been incredible for the game of women's golf. $7 million in prize money last year, a $2 million first place payout, the largest first place in all of golf. That event has never been healthier. And we actually approached CME when we were coming up with this idea, and they were fully supportive of having this event a couple weeks afterwards. And I think for CME, it's a point of pride. You see all the purse increases that are happening with the USGA and the other majors. It really all started with Terry and CME and what they were doing for the ladies in Southwest Florida for the past 10 years.
Well, Rob, congratulations. I know yesterday was a big day and announcement, and we'll probably be bothering you again during the summer when you start announcing more big names. So congratulations, and good luck saying no to all the people who want to play in the Pro-Am.
It's going to be a fun puzzle to put together on the player side, and I would say the inbound calls yesterday was pretty overwhelming in a very good way. So the interest from corporate America is strong, and we'll be excited how we put the event together. And the only other thing I would mention is a lot of the longtime supporters of the shootout, QB, Franklin Templeton, they're not going anywhere, and you'll see them in a supporting role this December as well. So.
Well, good. That's awesome. Rob, congratulations. Thanks for the time.
Thank you, guys. Take care. Have a great day.
Rob Hartman, tournament director of what is now the Grant Thornton Invitational. 16 PGA Tour players, 16 LPGA Tour players, one from each, teaming up, play against one another, competing over 3 days for $4 million.
You know, you mentioned earlier that if I had another job, I'd be tournament director. The one thing that takes me out of it is the niceness factor. Because Rob and Taylor, who helps with that tournament, some of the other that company does, we've known for a long time. Two of the nicest guys you'll ever meet.
Yes. And it was shocking to both of us. They always took a liking to us.
To this day, when Rob calls, I'm confused by it.
Well, first off, you know, obviously the location in Southwest Florida. How many PGA and LPGA Tour players live in Florida? I mean, and you may not be familiar with how many LPGA Tour players, but obviously the Corda sisters are, you know, from the Sarasota, Bradenton area. Lexi's from the Orlando area. Brooke Henderson lives in Southwest Florida half the year. Okay. You know, never mind all the others that are in the greater Orlando area. Now,
and the area and all that stuff as well.
Now, it will be interesting. It's 3 weeks after their tour championship. How many of the international players will want to be a part of this? I mean, it's a cash grab. Come on now.
I think they will. I think it's going to be interesting from what Rob and his staff have to do to determine which LPGA players they want.
And so now Finau and Fowler are in. Okay. The week before is Tiger's little Hero World Championship there, 3 hours away. How many of those guys decide, I'll hang out in Florida for one more week?
Well, and I think it would be a good look for the player. The PGA player that's doing it's a different world than, 20, 30 years ago where they just kept the LPGA at arm's length and looked down upon that tour. The PGA Tour, quite frankly, looked down upon it. Now with everything, you see Steph Curry at a big college basketball game. You see LeBron at WNBA games. I think the way that the male athlete has really embraced women's sports, I think you'll see a really good young field for this tournament that wants to play in it, David.
It's funny that you said 20, 30, 40 years ago. Hell, I think you could say 4 or 5 years ago. I do think this PGA Tour embracing of the LPGA Tour is very 2020s. I mean, it didn't happen in the 20-teens.
There's no doubt. And I think because of it and the way they've embraced that tour and the way the men's sports are starting to embrace women's sports, I think it bodes for a great field for the new event coming to Tiburon in December.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
The waterways of Naples are a beauty to behold, and the Bayfront Inn has multiple ways for guests to enjoy the water and have some fun. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone, on 5th Avenue in Naples.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Felipe, were you at the game last night?
I was.
You working?
Yeah. What a loss.
I could be a sarcastic blankety blank and say which one, but 5 straight home losses.
Yeah.
5 straight home losses.
They're quite a team.
Yeah.
And even though Lipscomb was ahead of them in the standings, FGCU a 2.5-point favorite last night. They've been favored in all 5 of these home losses, by the way.
I was so close because they tie the game with like under 2 minutes left. And
2:45.
Right.
To go. I just saw the highlight on Twitter. A guy hit the free throws to tie the game with 2:45 to go.
Okay. The 2:45 to go. Immediately after he hits that free throw, they give up an and one layup. And then that's it. It's over. They don't tie it up for the rest of the game.
Correct. Down 22. And then over the next 14 minutes, they tie the game and get outscored 11-2.
So FGCU tweets the highlight that you probably saw of him making the free throw. And then they say, we were down 22 with 17 minutes left. New game. And then I said, until you gave up. And I really wanted to respond until you gave up an and one layup down the stretch or down the court.
Well, I have to admit the hashtag attitude thing is not a good look when you've lost 10 of 13.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, marketing people need to realize that there's a certain point in the season when you have to bail on your marketing because it doesn't apply to the team that you're working for. Right. We could do that here.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, they can only finish 10th or 11th. And they're...
Thank God Bellarmine lost. Or Bellarmine won.
Yeah, Jacksonville's lost 2 games at the buzzer, by the way, back-to-back. If they had won either one of those, FGC right now would be out.
Rogers didn't make it for the 4 days, by the way. He only made it 2. He went in Monday and came out Wednesday. That's what's out right now.
Well, maybe he got his answer.
Darkness on the edge of town. Just not for 4 days.
I just got this email from a news website. Headline, does CNN have a Don Lemon problem? You think?
Yeah, they've had a rough little patch here. Between Como and Lemon, their 2 main guys have just gone right down the tank.
Uh-huh. And Anderson Cooper is about as many people watching him as listening to us. How's a good, bad, and ugly coming?
I've got him. Thank you for asking.
Yeah, nice.
I could see where you got out of the habit, though. You know, when we stopped doing the hour live, you know, there's no reason to keep doing it.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. The bonus hour for the 239. Thanks so much for being with us. miss any part of the show, download it, floridasportsnetwork.com. For those that get their podcasts through Spotify, there's a hitch in the giddy up. They're aware of it. We're aware of it. It's being worked on. Don't know if it gets fixed before the end of the week. So if you're interested, you may have to, today and tomorrow, find our podcast elsewhere, but it will be fixed. FYI.
David's on it.
Well, in
I
that
have
case,
full trust that this issue is going to be resolved because the tech giant of the show is on it. He's aware of it, and it will be rectified.
right. Give me the phone number of the guy I need to yell at. That's my contribution to the cause right there. Hey, it's not working.
I just realized that it's cold and lousy in a lot of other places because the person who handles all the IT stuff is in Michigan. And when I text him about the Spotify problem, he let me know he'll get right on it when he gets his power back.
I'm sorry. What happened? Is it too hot? What? So you told me something during the break, which I didn't realize. So apparently, Rodgers, did not head into the retreat in the week after the Super Bowl.
No, he arrived on Monday of this week.
Huh. That was only 3 days ago.
A 300-square-foot room that has no natural light and is designed to be silent, a bed, a meditation mat, and a bathroom. But apparently he arrived on Monday and left yesterday. He did not make it for the entire 4 nights in the darkness.
Well, if you get the answer you're looking for, do you need to stay?
Look it. He's nuts. I mean, he is out there. And I don't even mean crazy, but he's nuts, man. That guy thinks differently than the majority of us. But
yes, sir.
When you say you're going to do a 4-day retreat and it's going to find you clarity, levity, you're going to, in fact, you're going to hallucinate and get closer to God, apparently, when this is all done, and you can't make it the 4 days. David, I don't know if I can trust him as my quarterback anymore.
Well, maybe he ran out of water. Maybe he ran out of that, what's that stuff he was taking that kind of cleared his mind and what have you? Basically, it was like a hallucinogenic.
Yeah, basically like mushrooms.
Right, from the 60s and 70s. Right. It's just the modern version. Maybe he ran out of stuff. No reason to stay. Maybe he got the answer he was looking for. Why do I need to stay? I came here to answer the burning question in my life. 2.5 days in, I got my answer. Well, then the hell, let's go. I'm hungry. Maybe DoorDash said, that's it. We can't, the weather, we can't get there anymore. I don't know. He was in the wilderness of Oregon, apparently. The guy who owns the place that Rodgers was at, confirmed with the media that he left yesterday. He's in Oregon. I don't know. Maybe the DoorDash people said, sorry, our 4x4 broke. We can't get there.
You're outside of our delivery area.
Right. Maybe got tired of paying the costs. I mean, it's not cheap to get your food delivered anymore. Who knows?
So Aaron's out of the dark. We're still all in the dark about what Aaron wants to do.
Right. And what the Packers want to do with him. Wouldn't it be funny if the Packers just wait and Rodgers calls them or shows up and goes, hey, guys, I've been thinking. And here's what I'd like to do. And if the Packers just looked right at him and said, we don't care. This is what we're going to do.
I think we're just all hoping he gets moved just because it makes it more fun for the rest of us.
Yeah, but where to? Like, it would not go well in New York. I'm just telling you. He's too weird. He's too thin-skinned. All right. And the Jets, listen, I can relate to the Jets. I'm a Mets fan. Okay. I know what it's like to be part of a franchise that has a big fan base that desperately wants the best. And the franchise manages to get in its own way more times than not. Like, do we think Aaron Rodgers goes to the Jets and the Jets win big?
I have to be really frank here. I'd like to see him go to New York and see if the thin skin's actually right and see him get beat up a little bit, because he's been able to control every narrative when he's been in Green Bay. There's part of me that would like to see how he handles some difficult situations with 50 media members all over him all the time.
Well, Beast Mode agrees with you in our Twitch chat room. If it won't go well in New York, then that's exactly where we need him.
But what makes sense is the place you said a while ago, Tennessee.
You know, they let go of Tannehill with the money they cleared up yesterday. You let go of Tannehill and the money you cleared up yesterday, you can afford Aaron Rodgers. I mean, it's going to have to be a tremendously reworked contract, but, you know, that happens. They'll get it done.
I know people keep talking about Vegas because of Adams being there, and it's obviously still possible, but Nashville is collegiate in the way the media handles the team, if you know what I mean.
Now, listen, this is lying season, and it continues right on through the draft. So it's tough to take any NFL team at its word. But the Raiders did come out earlier in the week and say, essentially, you know, this could be a transition year for us. We may just play Jarrett Stidham, see if he's the answer. And if he's not, then we'll go get somebody in 2024. Now, then again, they also have the 7th pick of the draft. I mean, you know, maybe they draft Anthony Richardson.
If he's still there at 7, because the way things are going, he's going to be the first overall pick by the time the draft comes. Every time we talk to a draft person, his stock keeps getting higher and higher, David. Now, not by Pat Kerwin, but we've had different draft people on from different organizations, and they love this guy.
They think he's going to work out. They know it will be work, and they know it will take a while. But right now, most people publicly believe that Richardson's worth the investment. You and I are scared to death, and maybe it's because we've seen him.
And I thought we had Dalton Miller on earlier that said, you know, there's some problems with his mechanics. Well, that doesn't mean they can be fixed. You can attempt to fix mechanics. Can the player make the adjustment to fix them? That scares the hell out of me.
And what's interesting also is that he said with his lower half. So it's his footwork. You know, they like his throwing motion. They like the strength of his arm, which is massive. But they think he needs to work on his footwork. Okay. Dalton Miller says he's worth the risk. Although he says he's going to give him a 2nd round grade. But he knows he's going to go in the top 10. But when he does his grading, right now, he's a 2nd rounder. Oh, okay.
And that's where Pat was. Pat was, you take this guy in the end of the 2nd round, take in the 3rd, 4th round, I'm all in. But as a top 10 guy, I couldn't do it. And that's where it's looking like Richardson's heading.
Right. Like Hurts was taken, what, 49th, 50th, 51st? I mean, he was right there in the middle of the 2nd round. And Pat's like, oh, I'd love it. I'd be all over it. But top 10, are you out of your mind? No, I'm not doing that. This is the pick that also, this gets you, you know, a job for life or fired. I mean, it really is.
And if you're a GM and you're wrong, I don't know if you're a GM again after a pick like that.
No.
You might be in scouting, director of player personnel, but your GM days could be done making a pick that's that bad.
By the way, we mentioned Aaron Rodgers and the Jets. If you're the Jets at 13, you're going to be aggressive, trade up, get one of these guys. You can do it. It's been done before. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
The waterways of Naples are a beauty to behold, and the Bayfront Inn has multiple ways for guests to enjoy the water and have some fun. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill, the Bayfront Inn. Something for everyone. On 5th Avenue in Naples.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Listen, it's going to be hard enough for the Rangers to pull off a Kane trade. How are the Leafs going to do it? I mean, the Rangers have a guy they can waive and free up $2 million. And with the $900,000 in room they have right now, they'd have about $3 million. You go prorated, they get somebody else, a third party, to take half his salary. That's how they pull off Kane. How is Toronto going to pull off Kane? By the way, how about the Lightning for Kane?
Oh, boy.
I mean, that's our front office that's really creative.
Boy, that would be something.
To bolster, second line scoring.
Boy, if you were the Rangers if you were the Ranger Toronto and Tampa swooped in and got Kane, how pissed would you be?
I would tip my hat to him. I think the team you have to try to keep him away from is Carolina. Now, I don't know that he wants to go there, but they desperately need him. And if they got him, that could be a difference maker. God, that's the Devils, Rangers, Toronto, Tampa Bay first round series are going to be
right.
so good.
Tom Osborne's 86 today, David.
I'll bet you he's still doing laps inside Memorial Stadium.
I had to check on three. I had to check on three today: Fred Biletnikoff, Ed Too Tall Jones, and Tom Osborne. Just the double check. I hate saying birthdays when they're not here anymore. And Bobby Bonilla is 60.
Well, his contract's only got about 10, 12 more years to go. I love the fact Cohen jokes about it. He's celebrating the contract now. He thinks it's hysterical. And it's his money. He's losing $200 million a year right now on the Mets. Running the payroll that he's running because he doesn't own the cable network. He's losing $200 million a year on the Mets. And when asked about it, he's like, my other business is doing pretty well.
Here we go.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"22 minutes before the hour, 17 until we're out of here. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. The bonus hour, we thank you for being with us here in the 239 or listening wherever it is that you may be. So did you remember your duties today?
I've got them done. I think we're set.
It's the good, the bad, and the ugly. That means you need a good, a bad, and the ugly.
I've got them.
Okay.
I've got them. I think I'm ready for the end of the show.
All
At
right.
least I'm more prepared than I was a day ago, David. So what the hell?
It's time for someone to take back this segment, if for no other reason than to stop David from talking about Meghan and Harry. Here's Mark Miller with Today Was the Day When.
1903 we start today. The U.S. and Cuba sign an agreement by which Cuba releases Guantanamo to the U.S. for a naval station. That's how we got it today in 1903. 1934, Casey Stengel becomes the manager of the Brooklyn Dodgers. 1940, Pinocchio, the movie, is released. 1945, the Marines raised the flag on top of Iwo Jima. 1954 was the first mass inoculation against polio.
One of the greatest things we ever did.
1964, at the 6th Daytona, Richard Petty wins, leading 184 of the 200 laps.
Was that exciting?
That same day, the Beatles' third appearance on The Ed Sullivan Show, featuring performances they taped prior to their debut. They were actually taped on February the 9th. This one I just had to put in for the names. Today in 1969 at the 11th Daytona 500, Leroy Yarborough driving for Junior Johnson, and I think you have to say it like that, catches Charlie Glotzbach on the final lap to win. It's the first 500 won on a last lap pass by Leroy Yarborough.
Racing
Anytime
for
you get a
Junior
lead.
Johnson.
Right. Hyde would complete his sweep today at 80, winning the 10,000 meter.
Remember, this is 5 races. He started at 500 meters. All right. And then won 3 races in between. And then was this the longest?
This is the longest.
Right. Right. Mm-hmm.
I think the 500, the 1,500, the 5,000, the 10,000, I don't recall what the other one was.
Yeah, I'm looking it up here, trying to find it. Oh, 1,000.
Okay.
Okay, so he won 500, 1,000, 1,500, 5,000, 10,000.
Right. Remarkable.
By the way, remember, what day today is. Today's the day in between the U.S. hockey team beating the Russians and then beating Finland. Hayden was at the game, I mean, Hayden was not back in his dorm there resting, staying off his feet. I mean, Hayden, stood for 3 hours and cheered the U.S. hockey team on.
And then did a couple 3 miles.
Right. Then walked back to wherever he was staying in the Olympic Village, and then the next day won the, what was it, 10,000?
10,000 meters.
Yeah,
a little
that's
over
all.
6. Yeah.
Which, by the way, is a lot of laps. Man, is that a lot of laps.
It's a tough watch. I'm telling you right now.
It's kind of like Richard Petty winning the 500, leading 184. So, like, how many more laps? Well, he's on a good pace. He's got 11 laps left. Wow.
Today in 83, the New Jersey Generals signed Herschel Walker to then a 3-year, $5 million deal.
Herschel tried to get out of it. And Vince Dooley said, you signed it. You can't come back to Georgia. Herschel wanted to come back for his senior year.
Today in 85, Bobby Knight threw the chair. To think about the different world we were in, it was celebrated.
It really was.
Over and over.
Now, they did tee him up. I mean, this isn't like when Parrish punched Lambier 2 years later and they didn't even give him a technical. Okay? I mean, the ref did at least tee Bobby Knight up. Did you ever follow the chair, by the way, when you see the incident?
Yes.
That thing bounced. Okay?
Bounced,
like
did a couple of rolls.
Yes.
Lucky no one was injured.
Right. Went all the way to like the far corner of Assembly Hall there.
It's a good throw. Today in 91, George H.W. Bush gives Iraq a 24-hour deadline to withdraw from Kuwait or face a ground war.
Hey, when Bush 41 drew the line in the sand, he drew the line in the sand.
Damn right he did. Today in 99, Eminem releases his first major record label album, the Slim Shady LP. In 2014, Junior wins his second Daytona 500. And it was 2 years ago today that Tiger crashed the car. Those born today that are no longer.
By the way, there was nothing going on though. He wasn't under any medication.
No,
he didn't fall asleep. Okay, there was nothing to see here. Okay, 7:30 in the morning on the way to the golf course. Okay, just crossed over traffic, over a median, over the other lanes, crashed, careening into a ditch. Nothing to see here. Happens all the time.
Peter Fonda would have been 83 today. Those celebrating birthdays. Football coach Tom Osborne's 86. Fred Bolitnikoff is 80. Ed Too-Tall Jones is 72. Bobby Bonilla is 60. And Andrew Wiggins is 28 years old today.
Boy, think about Bonilla too. Okay, he's like, yeah, this is perfect. Celebrate my birthday in late February. I'm only about 4 months away from getting my Mets check.
That contract should finish up just in time for Social Security for Bobby Bonilla.
I was going to say, I actually think, here's what I'm wondering. Does he have to claim that? Is that going to affect how much he's getting in Social Security?
I would hope so.
But I'm not working. But I do get an annual check for like 1.1 something million from a former employer. It's a hell of a pension I worked out.
Hell of a contract. Holy cow. All right, I'm ready. Let's do this.
You've heard folks elsewhere mock Florida is gonna Florida. Well, Mark Miller sees it differently. He calls it the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
So George Rebels is at the Souls Harbor thrift store in Ferris, Texas, and he buys Bachman Turner's Overdrive's The Anthology on CD.
Oh, wow.
We could question why he wanted to buy that in his musical choice, but you ain't seen nothing yet. So he didn't even open the CD case till about a month after the purchase, when inside he realized there was a Polaroid photo. The date on the photo was 11/22/63. The photo is Kennedy riding in his motorcade in Dallas. It's an unpublished photo of the motorcade before President Kennedy was shot. He doesn't know whether he's going to sell it or keep it, but it's basically a photo that they don't think anybody's seen in 60 years. It's been, or at least 30 since it was put in that case. For the bad, we go to Cape Coral, where there is a stupid criminal on the loose. Getting this from NBC-2.com. Ring footage shows a young man stealing from a Cape Coral home in broad daylight. What he stole and how it made the news is shocking to me, and it's why it's the bad. He stole a garden hose, and the news actually decided it's worthy of a story. It's a garden hose. If you have any idea who this young man is, hit him in the head. Don't turn him in, just hit him upside the head and call him stupid twice. Finally, the ugly. Not a good story. I want to remind everybody that no one was hurt in this incident because I usually don't go here. But we go to Nevada and the Bunny Ranch, where a 28-year-old sex worker was arrested after alleged shooting and an hour-long standoff at the brothel. Savannah Henderson, who also goes by Tierra T, was taken into custody early Tuesday morning, charged with 4 felony counts of possession of a firearm. Apparently, there was an argument with she and one of the other workers at the brothel. Shots were fired. She barricaded herself into a room. The standoff ensued. She surrendered after a couple of hours and was taken into custody. She also had some weed on her and was quoted as adding, "I look forward to court." No word on whether any of the judges are her current clients. And that is the good, the bad, and the ugly on today, the 23rd of February, 2023.
The NBA returns tonight. Felipe, what have you done with yourself for the last week? Are you okay?
I've been watching college basketball, actually, so it hasn't been too bad. I actually enjoy college basketball. The NBA is my baby. But I enjoy college basketball.
Okay. 9 games tonight in the association. Heat are off. Magic are hosting Detroit. Your TNT doubleheader, Memphis and Philly early. Golden State and the Lakers late. Still no Steph for at least another week for Golden State. Lakers are like a 6-point favorite. But it should be LeBron and AD both playing at the same time. Felipe, that's worth tuning in just because, you can't count on that happening ever again.
Remember, these are the 23 most important regular season games of LeBron's career. Golden State doesn't win on the road.
College hoops tonight. It only got like 4 games involving ranked teams. Here's a little something off. First off, FAU tries to bounce back. They're hosting Texas San Antonio, who's a bad team. They should win tonight. Michigan, if you want to get in the tournament.
There you go. That's the game I was looking at. Michigan's at Rutgers. They've got to win this game. If the Wolverines want to play in the tournament, tonight is a must-win.
They just beat Michigan State, who's a tournament team, granted at home. But Rutgers is a tournament team. It's on the road, 8:30 FS1. If you want to get in the tournament, I advise you to win tonight. And, Mark, I know ranked teams playing an unranked team, ranked team going on the road. Lately, the ranked teams have been getting crushed. How many teams in the country are playing better than Northwestern right now?
A handful, David. And they're on the road in Illinois, and Illinois is a 5.5-point favorite in that game.
How do you not take Northwestern? I have no problem losing this money betting Northwestern. I'd have a big problem with myself if I lost this money taking Illinois. Northwestern just went Purdue, Indiana, Iowa. Boom, boom, boom. And the Iowa win was by 20. I think I got to take the 5.5. This is Miami on the road getting 2 at Vatech. Miami on the road getting 5.5 at Carolina. I'm sorry. If I lose this bet, I'm fine with it.
I'm with you, David. I'm with you. Illinois is a decent team.
Yeah, they are. They're a tourney team.
No pushover.
Yeah. Lightning in action tonight. They're hosting Buffalo. Your Wings are you're right there. In fact, they're talking about the Wings maybe 2 points out of the final playoff spot with games in hand. Maybe they should be buyers. They're hosting the Rangers tonight. Win that game. And if you're Steve Yzerman, I think you gotta take those selling plans and throw them out.
They've won 5 of their last 6, the Wings have.
Yeah. Now the Rangers are playing really well, but I'm just saying. Edmonton at Pittsburgh. McDavid at Crosby. Of course, you can't find that game anywhere because if you're the NHL, I mean, why would you want to have that game on national television? I mean, you want Calgary at Vegas at 9:00 on ESPN instead. That's right, Calgary at Vegas. You don't want Edmonton at Pittsburgh. The best player of his generation playing the best player of his generation. You don't want that. You want Calgary at Vegas instead.
Right. With Crosby still playing at a high level, too. I mean, that's the other part of this. Is he a top 5 guy in the league still?
Well, you know how biased I am towards
Crosby. But
so,
he's no worse than top 8.
And McDavid's top 2. Just don't ask me to say who the other guy is. Because it changes by the week.
Yeah, McDavid's the best player in the game. It's the period, end of sentence. So.
Right. But we get Calgary, Vegas instead. That's fantastic. So there you have it. That's what's going on in the sports scene tonight. Big game tomorrow night for FGCU. The men need to win to make the playoffs. Make the playoffs.
Won 22 games last year.
They've lost 5 in a row at home. They've lost 10 of 13 overall. This is not ending well.
Well, I hope the style of play has been exciting enough for you, everybody. Because that's all we heard is that we needed a new style of play. You got it, and you're fighting to make the playoffs in the A-Sun. Should never happen.
No, this team should have been better than that. Still time to salvage your season, but not much more time.
Miller and Moulton. A Friday edition tomorrow. We'll throw as much football in it as possible right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey.